Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. People in Hokage, get married Kushina, my son is Naruto. Chapter 81. Kushina, who had just arrived in Konaha, saw Uzumaki Mito who had woken up and rushed up crying. Grandma Mito. Kushina hugged Uzumaki Mito tightly. Uzumaki Mito smiled lovingly, patted Shinai's back and said, "It's okay." Quote. The medical ninja next to him reminded Shinai, "Don't push so hard, Mito-sama, she just woke up." Quote. Shinai quickly let go of Uzumaki Mito. "Granny, are you okay?" Quote. Uzumaki Mito smiled and shook his head and said, "It's okay." Before he finished speaking, Uzumaki Mito looked at the suddenly rising blue chakra skeleton giant, revealing a look of horror. "This is Susanoo." Everyone followed Uzumaki Mito's line of sight, and they all showed a look of horror. This blue high-density chakra condensed into a skeletal giant is 10 stories tall. High above, covering the sky, shocked everyone present. The people of the Uchiha clan trembled with fear. Susanoo, the forbidden art of their Uchiha clan, can only be unlocked by opening the kaleidoscope chakra eye, and only exists in legends. And now, legends are back in the world. The long-haired man in front of him is exactly the same as the Uchiha painting in the clan. It's Uchiha, but he just smashed the current head of the family, Uchiha, in an instant. For a while, the Uchiha family didn't know how to be good. This Uchiha spot, for their Uchiha clan, is it a new birth or a destruction? The Hyuga clan, who is also one of the two major families of Konaha, everyone rolled their eyes wide in fright. This is Uchiha Madara. Such a blue skeletal giant represents destruction. Sarutobi Hinata, who was still being treated, shivered when he looked at Susanoo who was high above, and the medical ninjas around him, as well as the dark ninjas, were frightened. Fang Shuaman had just carried the unconscious 4th generation Eye in, and he was calmed. What is it? Although Fang Shuaman is an honor student, he has never seen this kind of thing on the battlefield. The long-lost power of the Uchiha clan reappeared in Konaha and shocked everyone. The spies of the other ninja villages, undercover, were full of horror, and a large part of them immediately passed the news through various means, such as pigeons, such as psychic beasts, such as human flesh. Today's news, so shocking. Uchiha appears, the mysterious golem descends, and Konaha hidden village is destroyed. Then Uchiha absorbs the mysterious golem and rejuvenates. He also suddenly channeled a blue skeletal giant, and I heard that it was a forbidden technique of the Uchiha clan. All this is too shocking. Uchiha was in Susanoo, high above and overlooking the people of Konaha. I didn't expect to come back this time and destroy most of Konaha. Uchiha couldn't help but recall the final scene of the Battle of the Valley of the End in his mind. The two fought to the end, exhausted, and in the end they could only use physical skills to fight the victory. The 1,000-hand pillar pierced the back of his heart. I want to protect our village. No matter what happens, I still firmly believe that protecting the village is protecting the villagers, protecting the ninja and the children. Whether it's my friends, my brothers, or even my kids. As long as I dare to make enemies with the village, I will never let it go. Quote. You've changed, between the pillars. You put the cart before the horse, between the pillars. One day, this will turn into the darkness of the village. In that battle, he lost an eye in suspended animation, and the 1,000-hand pillars were not much better, and after that, he died quickly. And now, he is facing a young man who is exactly the same as the 1,000-hand pillar, but different. Is this reincarnation? Uchiha looked at Yokade coldly, and Susanoo raised the big blue knife in his hand and slashed at Yokade. The knife had not yet arrived, and the fierce momentum had already scared everyone's faces pale. Run! Ape Flying Sun, who had not fully recovered, directly opened his hands and captured the medical ninja beside him in one fell swoop. Rumble. A bang. Where the ape Flying Sun chopped the place where he was standing, it was directly split out of the long ravine, and the depth could not be seen. This is completely affecting pond fish. Uchiha's target was actually Yikaide, but the ape Flying Sun behind him was also victimized. It's just that the part where the ape Flying Sun chopped the person just now was a little strange, and when the medical female ninja reacted, she was directly beaten by the medical female ninja. Naruto-sama, how can you do this? The ape Flying Sun is very wronged. This is obviously to save them, the situation is urgent. Yi Feng, on the other hand, used the teleportation technique to avoid the attack, and also picked up Shinai behind him along the way, and instantly moved to 100 meters away. Be careful. Shinai was stunned for a moment, nodded, hesitated, or kissed Fang. You must be careful. Fang suddenly felt as if he was charged by the charger and nodded. Boy, you have some skills. Just let me see how strong you really are. Fire. Fire lost. In an instant, a huge amount of chakra condensed in Uchiha's mouth, directly spewing out terrifying flames. This terrifying flame was much more powerful than the 3 generations of Hokage had faced just now. That sea of flames rose up into the sky, illuminating everyone's faces white. Done. Tree boundary wall. Multi-layered trees suddenly grew and blocked the huge sea of fire. Rumble. Countless roots grow into large trees, forming a thick wall that divides Konaha village in two. Half is the Konaha ninja on the side where Hokage is, and half is Uchiha who is high above. The scorching burning of the extreme high temperature, the flames flashed, even if they were blocked by the tree boundary wall, they made people feel the terrifying temperature. At this moment, Shukaku, who had just been promoted to shinobi, shouted, I caught it. Quote. Shadow mimicry. Under the sunlight, the shadow of Uchiha and the shadow of Shukaku overlapped. Shikahisa uses the family secret method shadow mimicry to control Uchiha's movements. At the same time, the other 2 of the pig deer butterfly also moved. Secret technique heart turn. Yamanaka Haichi confronts Uchiha and uses his soul to concentrate his spirit on one point in order to unleash his spiritual power to seize and manipulate his opponent's body. Secretary. The art of multiplication. Akamichi Ding-su instantly became huge. Konaha fluid. Meet chariot. I saw that Akamichi Ding's whole person became bigger and fatter, and with a punch, it directly turned into a round ball meat bullet, and rushed towards Uchiha savagely. Pig deer butterfly, a collection of 3. Everyone's eyes widened in anticipation. Give me out. Shukaku walked towards Uchiha Madara, and Uchiha Madara must also walk out of his own Susanoo. However, Uchiha was unmoved, and smiled faintly, as if looking at a child. Meat bomb chariot. It's really a nostalgic physical skill. Quote. Didn't your ancestors tell you that the combination tactics of pigs and deer butterflies are useless to me? When everyone heard this, their faces changed greatly. I saw Susanoo raise the big knife in his hand and slash it down suddenly. Rumble. The meat ball of Akamichi Dingzo was directly smashed upside down and flew out, hitting the tree boundary wall, and even the tree boundary wall was dented. Akamichi Dingza. Fang hurriedly sent Chudao Dingza back for treatment. Chudao Dingza from his forehead all the way down, a deep knife mark, from head to toe, directly chopped down, bloody, directly unconscious. When it was sent over, it scared the healer, and I thought that Uchiha had chopped Akamichi Dingza to death, but fortunately there was still breath. Uchiha Madara is also slightly won. It's quite tough, with the demeanor of your ancestors, and your ancestors were almost cut off by me. Quote. At this time, Yamanaka Haichi suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood, and the heart-turning technique failed. Ha! Shadow bondage. You give it to me. Quote. Uchiha Madara beckoned to Shikahisa, and Shukaku flew uncontrollably towards Uchiha Madara. Nope. Everyone was full of horror. Uchiha is also too strong, right? Just as Shukaku was flying in the air, a yellow flash flashed and saved Shukaku. Flying Thunder God Technique. Quote. As soon as Uchiha saw wave feng shui men using the Flying Thunder God Technique, he immediately remembered the Senju Jama he hated the most. The inheritance of that garbage thing. Uchiha's figure flashed, suddenly appeared in front of the wave feng shui gate, and kicked out. Bofeng Shuiman's eyes widened, and before he could react, he flew out upside down holding Naradir for a long time, his chest was sunken, and he vomited a large mouthful of blood. Just one blow, seriously injured wave feng shui gate. In less than 10 seconds, he injured 4 Shangninja in a row. The horror of Uchiha left a deep and heavy impression on everyone's hearts. However, in the next second, everyone's eyes widened. Kaide didn't know when he appeared in front of Uchiha. Bang! A loud bang is much louder than Uchiha's kick in Zongbo Feng Shuiman. Uchiha flew out upside down. In the next second, the corners of Uchiha's mouth bleed, but he stopped in the air, and instantly rushed towards Kaide. The two were shuttling back and forth in the air at a speed invisible to the naked eye, and the fire was radiant. Everyone can't see their movements clearly, it's too fast. I can only hear the sound of fists colliding to the flesh, which makes people's hearts jump. Everyone was dumbfounded. They felt that the physical skills they had seen before were all performances, and now the confrontation between the two was the physical skills. Wave Feng Shuaman, who was almost kicked to death by Uchiha Ban, is lying on the ground and is being treated by Tsunade. Kushina and Makoto couldn't help but clench their hands, praying, hoping that Hokage would win this battle. On the side of Yefeng and Uchiha, they fought for a full minute, fighting for thousands of rounds, and the two retreated at the same time. Refreshing. Uchiha wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Hokage. A little blood also flowed from the corner of Yefeng's mouth. Really strong, Yefeng said lightly. It was the first time he had gone all out against an enemy. Uchiha is indeed a strong man of the same level among the thousand-hand pillars. Similarly, Uchiha's side is also full of shock. The other party is even a little stronger than him, just like facing the feeling between the thousand-hand pillars. Come again. Although it is a slight downwind, but Uchiha does not have any retreat at all, but is full of fighting intent. This is Uchiha Ban. It was again a battle in which everyone could not see the action clearly, and everyone was surprised. Yi Kaide was actually able to open up with Uchiha spot. The ape who saw the most clearly was the most shocking in his heart. Night Maple is not with Uchiha spot, but with Uchiha spot. Night Maple is 7, Uchiha is 3. That's an exaggeration. The strength of the Night Maple reminded the ape flying son of the thousand-hand pillars. The same Mu Duan, the same peerless powerhouse, also made Ape Fei look out of his neck. After a while, Uchiha flew out upside down, spurting blood from his mouth, but the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned. Hurry, you are my second recognized enemy after the pillars. Quote, I, Uchiha, would like to admit that you are one of my strongest opponents. Saying that, Uchiha Madara made a seal on his hands, and the chakra that was visible to the naked eye emerged from his body, almost thick enough to see the shape. Totally Susanoo. This terrifying chakra burst made the distant whirlpool Mito show a look of panic. This is a complete body of Susanoo. She knew immediately what Uchiha was going to do. Complete body Susanoo. I saw countless chakras, forming a behemoth up to 100 meters high in the air. Now this Susanoo is twice as tall and twice as large as just now, and a terrifying momentum bursts out. Like a Tengu, his whole body is covered with armor, and there are wings behind him, and he is equipped with 2 long swords on his waist. Just standing in front of everyone, the towering appearance brings people a sense of oppression that is incomparable. Yi Feng's eyes were full of fighting intent. Totally pseudos. Immortal magic Mu is really thousands of hands and tops up. Quote, Yi Feng's order, the wooden man under his feet suddenly appeared. The wooden man becomes a Buddha and sits on top of the head of the huge Buddha statue. Set one by one, I saw the ground shattered, and the huge thousand-handed wooden Buddha rose up into the sky. Back off. The ninjas of Konaha village who were on the edge of Op, led by Sarutobi Hinata, retreated one after another. The last time Yi Feng's true thousands of hands appeared, everyone was too deeply affected. Even if it touches the slightest, it will be directly seriously injured. Be sure to get out of the way. Now it's the immortals fighting. Ape Flying Sun Chopper stepped back while looking at the thousand hands wood Buddha that was still rising. Even the second time he saw this thousand-hand wood Buddha, Ape Flying Sun Chopper still felt a deep powerlessness. This is 2TM Lipi, as big as a mountain. How to fight? A hand is bigger than a house. What 1,000 hands? Uchiha was slightly stunned. This giant Buddha, this thousand hands, is too familiar. Many old men of the family once again saw the appearance of thousands of real hands and directly knelt on the ground. This is their belief in the ninja god, the Senjuku pillar. This time, Uchiha watched the appearance of Shinsenju topping makeup with his own eyes up close, and his eyelids jumped uncontrollably. Uchiha, who has always liked to pretend, couldn't say a word at this time. It's too big. At this time, Uchiha discovered that the true thousand hands topping avatar was much larger than his complete body Susanoo. Now the size of the real thousands of hands and top makeup has exceeded the complete body Susanoo, but it is still rising. Thousands of hands behind him are swinging slightly. Uchiha suddenly had a sense of foreboding in his heart. Come on. Uchiha can't wait. He was afraid that when the real thousands of hands fully appeared, he would lose. Can only rush to attack. Completely on the surface of Susanoo, the dark blue chakra light rose up. In the next second, the complete body Susanoo pulled out his sword and slashed towards the rising thousand-hand wood Buddha. The katana from the bottom up slashed out, and instantly burst out with a deafening crashing sound. With this knife, even the earth shook. The split knife chi, the part that was not blocked by Gen Qian's hands, flew directly to the distant peak. Rumble. With a loud bang, that mountain was instantly razed to the ground. Ju Shinai looked at the back of the thousand hands wood Buddha with a pale face. Uzumaki Mito next to him said softly, Yefeng is fine, rest assured, he is completely capable of being Suzuki, and he is not an opponent of thousands of hands. Quote. As Uzumaki Mito said, there is only one trace of the earth-shattering sword that completely bodies Susanoo remains. The trace seemed deep, but instantly grew back as if it had never happened. Uchiha's face became more and more ugly, and he frantically operated the complete body Susanoo attack on Shin thousands of hands. However, Yi Feng said lightly, you have been fighting for so long, it's my turn. Quote. As soon as the words fell, time seemed to stop at this moment. Everyone's expressions were sluggish, even Madara's expression showed a hint of panic. Suddenly, the entire heaven and earth suddenly darkened. An incomparably terrifying aura was being released and spreading, like a terrifying wave crashing on the shore, and the entire continent was suddenly shaken. The 1,000-meter-tall Buddha statue has completely risen, and it is completely the size of Susanoo, not even half of the 1,000 hands wood Buddha. Thousands of huge Buddha palms covered the sky, and the entire Konaha village was shrouded in darkness. Really thousands of hands, 1,000 hands, directly smashed on the complete body of Susanoo. Bang, 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 completely submerged by the ocean of fists. Smoke and dust followed, as if tens of millions of tons of explosives exploded. Rumble. With a loud bang, the entire Konaha village turned into nothing. The ninja of Konaha village had retreated to the outskirts of the village, and the walls around Konaha village were all shattered. But at the same time, in front of everyone, a circle of tree boundary walls was suddenly erected, blocking the aftermath of the explosion from overturning. In everyone's eyes, the red of the explosion was reflected, like the setting sun. It's only 1 minute. Completely Musanano exploded. It only lasted for 1 second. Forcing Wang Yujibo to spot, his mouth sprayed blood, and he was caught in his hands by the wooden man. Bang! The Uchiha spot in the wooden man's hand turned into smoke at once. Shadow doppelganger. The real Uchiha body has jumped away, covered and tattered, bleeding from the corners of his mouth, and it seems that he is still injured. Even at this time, Uchiha still looked calm, as if the person who was beaten was not him. Behind Uchiha, a pair of Susanoo who were leaning back to back appeared. Yi Feng squinted his eyes. Seeing this scene, he had an ominous thought in his heart. I saw Uchiha himself and this pair of Susanoo, and sealed at the same time. Night Maple. Ju Shinai covered her heart, worried about Yi Feng, and suddenly, she seemed to sense something, and involuntarily looked at the sky. Everyone in Konaha village looked at the sky at almost the same time. Immediately afterwards, everyone's expressions instantly froze. They saw that among the dark clouds, an extremely huge black shadow suddenly appeared. At the same time, thousands of white absolutes suddenly appeared. This is the second insurance for Uchiha to escape. Countless white absolutes suddenly appeared around Konaha village, and everyone showed a look of horror. Densely packed white, thousands of them, surrounded by heavy circles, it is creepy to watch. The breath of each one is above the middle patience. Everyone was scared silly. A huge meteorite above the head is falling, like a sharp sword hanging overhead. And this endless white around them, you can't even escape. Yefeng must come to the rescue. If he does not save it, Konaha Hidden Village will be directly destroyed, and there will be no birth. Uchiha's series of moves have long been premeditated. This time, Uchiha was also in the fire, absorbing the 2 tails, 8 tails and 9 tails, and then followed by 10,000 white absolute and heavenly obstacles to escape from the stars. Of course, this is Uchiha's second choice. If Uchiha can fight the overnight maples, there will be no such second choice, just like the original battle of the End Valley. If you can't win, then slip away. Besides, Uchiha has a third insurance. While fleeing, Uchiha did not forget to look back at Yokai defiantly. The reincarnation of the thousand-hand pillar, let me see if you still follow your original ninja path. Multiple shadow doppelganger technique. All of a sudden, Uchiha split into 25 and fled in all directions. I'm going, one famous scene after another, all used to escape. Yefeng also did not expect that the ability to force the king to escape was also the first in Konaha. Multiple shadow doppelganger tactics. The yin seal on Yifeng's forehead was opened directly. The art of 100 heroes. The chakra, which was originally stored, suddenly emerged. Yefeng directly separated 100 shadow doppelgangers and immediately chased after Uchiha's 25 shadow doppelgangers. 4 is responsible for 1, in this case, the forced king should not be able to leave, right? Uchiha saw Yi Kaide chasing after him with hundreds of doppelgangers at once, revealing a surprised look. This guy's chakra is even more perverted than the senjutsu pillar. After using the real thousands of hands and topping the armor, there is still spare strength to be able to divide the body into hundreds to hunt down and kill themselves. How is this possible? Uchiha picked up speed and fled. Yi Kaide's reaction made Uchiha feel a sense of foreboding in his heart. In addition, the body of the Night Maple is still there. The figure flashed, and Yefeng had already appeared in front of everyone in Konaha. Night Maple, Lord Yi Kaide. Everyone's attitude towards Yefeng at this time was unprecedentedly respectful. Because Yokai is the savior of Konaha village. Moreover, the status is noble, and many people's respect for Yefeng has exceeded the respect for the 3 generations of Hokage. Sarutobi Hinata also went to the soup for Konaha, but the strength was not enough, and people still believed in Night Maple more. After all, Yi Feng's strength has already left the Ape Flying Sun, and there is also the golden signboard of the Thousand-Hand Pillar in direct squad. In the hearts of the ninjas of Konaha village, the status of the Senju Pillar is extremely exalted. Coupled with the fact that Yi Feng now opens the art of 100 Hao, the texture of the art of 100 Hao, plus the texture of the immortal mode, combined on the face, is full of mystery, just like the god of war. Not to mention that the eyes of Kushina and Makoto lit up, the eyes of the other female ninja looking at Yefeng are completely different. So handsome. Lord Yifeng, what now? Yefeng glanced at Kushina, nodded, and then said to everyone, let's stand back. Quote. The Night Maple Shadow Avatar is directly sealed. Mu done, birth of the tree realm. With a loud bang, the entire ground shook and collapsed instantly. The big trees that rose under the ground directly overturned the floor. Rumble. In just a few seconds, the flat land turned into a dense forest, changing the terrain in one fell swoop. Countless tree roots and vines drilled out in an instant. Everyone in Konaha village was surrounded by the tree realm at once. You guys solved the fish that slipped through the net. Yefeng said quietly. On the periphery of the tree realm are white absolutes. As soon as you walk in one, it is entangled and directly sucked dry by tree roots and vines. But there were many white absolutes, and countless white absolutes pressed towards the tree realm. The outermost trees, creaking and then clattering, collapsed. Immediately afterwards, the circle of roots and vines inside was also cut off by the dense white around it. Up, we can't just watch. Quote. Tsunade was the first to shout, rushed up, and instantly opened the Hyakuo technique. As a nanny's Tsunade, she is a clear stream among the Hokage nanny, with a large amount of milk, can resist and fight, and can be described as the king of war in the Hokage. With a punch-up, a Baiju flew out upside down and exploded in the air, taking 3 or 4 Baiju behind him to fall. Ape Flying Sun Slash also once again used his unique move Wuden Dalian Bullet technique, and the continuous bullet of 5 chakra attributes suddenly drowned a bunch of white absolutes in front of him. I have to say that the Ape Flying Sun slashes the minions, much faster than Tsunade. Under the leadership of Tsunade and Sarutobi Hinata, the ninjas of Konaha village went into battle one after another, relying on the cover of the tree world, and all kinds of ninjutsu were thrown at Baiju. Even Kushina and Uchiha Makoto rushed forward. Rush. Kill. Kakashi and Obito of the 7th class rushed out first, and many ninjas were stunned. Why are both elementary school students like this? Sarutobi Hinata looked at Obito with a chakra eye, and was also fighting to kill Baiju, remembering that just now Uchiha refused to kill himself and was killed by Uchiha Spot, and he had an inexplicable thought in his heart. The Uchiha family is not that kind of dangerous family. You see, the Uchiha clan, whether it is the younger generation or the current generation in power, does not have much idea of being unfavorable to Konaha. Instead, the Shimura clan of Danzo, the Mito clan of Menyon, and the dormitory clan of Kaharu have completely changed after gaining the greatest power in Konaha village. Is the second generation teacher wrong? Are we wrong? Sarutobi fell into self-doubt. And Rin is also helping to heal the ninja. Terumi, who was a prisoner, and the two Teekmons, hesitated and joined the battle group. Now this tree realm, like a huge fortress, protects the entire village of Konaha, splitting the vast white Ju into small pieces, just against the ninja of Konaha village. Ju Shinai looked at Yi Feng's back, and her eyes were full of adoration. However, Yi Feng's figure flashed and disappeared again. Rumble. There was a booming sound on everyone's heads, and they all looked up at the huge meteorite that gradually fell in the sky, and everyone's faces were very ugly and even trembled. It's huge. The entire sky was covered, and the black shadow covered the entire Konaha village, and it was dark. If it falls like this, the entire Konaha village will inevitably be gone directly. Can Night Maple block it? It must be blocked. Yi Feng squinted his eyes, looked at the huge meteorite that fell down, gritted his teeth, and pressed his hands on the wooden man's head. Really thousands of hands, top up to make a baby, up. Click. The huge thousand hands wooden Buddha, towering into the clouds, began to move. With a slight movement, the entire ground shook. Black and White, who was hiding in the shadows, looked up at the thousand hands wooden Buddha raising his thousand hands, and at the same time soared into the sky, stunned. The second time I saw the real thousands of hands, it was still full of shock. It's really too strong, so strong that Uchiha can't match it. Suddenly, a strong wind behind him, Black and White were slightly stunned, and his body was instantly torn apart. Water escape water blade slash. A shadow doppelganger of Yi Feng suddenly appeared behind Black and White. It's just that Black and White were torn to pieces, and Black and White still went deep into the dirt and disappeared. Yi Feng also knew very well that it was almost difficult for Heiju to completely kill. Even if he killed this, I am afraid that there would be other places. It's just that Yi Feng doesn't want this guy to peek at the screen. Thousands of wooden hands rose up into the sky, and finally touched the surface of the falling meteorite. However, the impact power of the meteorite was too terrifying, and the thousand wooden hands shattered the moment they touched the surface of the meteorite. Yi Feng gritted his teeth. The yin seal was completely opened, and the chakra in his body gushed out. The broken wooden hand, supported by the chakra that erupted from the night maple, continued to grow out with the naked eye. But the new wooden hand, the moment it touched the huge meteorite, it was still constantly shattered, and it was impossible to withstand the fall of the huge meteorite. Meteorites are still falling. Mu-dun giant pillar art. Countless huge pieces of wood soar into the sky. However, when it touched a huge meteorite, it instantly cracked and shattered. Void. It is not ineffective. The momentum of meteorite falling, slightly slowed down. But it's still declining. Yi Feng, you must resist. Night Maple, Ju Shinai, Uchiha Makoto and the others all covered their hearts with their hands and silently prayed for Yi Kaide. Lord Yi Kaide, you must resist it. Quote, Lord Yi Kaide, bless us in Konaha village. Quote, not only the two of them, but everyone in Konaha village was praying for Night Maple at the same time. The chakra on their bodies turned into a little starlight, floated towards Yi Feng, and penetrated deep into Yi Feng's body. This is. Yi Feng suddenly felt that chakra, which was almost exhausted in his body, suddenly skyrocketed. Looking down, a little starlight merged into his body. Immortal mode absorbs natural chakra, a lot of integration. Mu-dun multiple wood doppelganger technique. Yi Feng suddenly separated hundreds of wooden doppelgangers, stepped on wooden hands, and rushed towards the heavenly obstruction shocking star. The sudden addition of hundreds of wooden doppelgangers obviously suppressed the momentum of the meteorite's fall. Bang, 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 but in the blink of an eye, hundreds of wooden doppelgangers were instantly crushed. Ha! Night Maple roared, and everyone in Konaha village was praying for Night Feng. Chakra from everyone in Konaha village turned into a little starlight, continuously charging Yi Feng. Mu done multiple wood doppelganger technique. Yi Feng suddenly separated thousands of wooden doppelgangers and rushed towards the surface of the huge meteorite. Everyone was stunned. Thousands of wooden doppelgangers. What is this concept? Ha! Night Maple had thousands of wooden doppelgangers, opened their hands, and their hands condensed the thick wooden dun chakra, supporting the huge meteorite. And under their feet, there are wooden hands. The huge meteorite kept pressing down, but the momentum of falling was getting slower and slower. The wooden doppelganger rushed up continuously, constantly being crushed, and the trend of huge meteorites finally became slower and slower, and finally when he came to the body of Night Feng, he was supported by Night Maple with both hands and stopped. The tree realm on the ground withered instantly, and Night Fang's chakra was no longer able to support it. Night Maple 4 shadow avatars chased Uchiha spot 1 shadow avatar, bang twice, also became 2 shadow doppelgangers. Uchiha suddenly smiled. Konaha can't carry it over there. Quote. Finally, thousands of wooden hands, plus Yi Feng, forcefully supported the bottom of the heavenly obstruction star. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Everyone looked at the huge meteorite that stopped in the air, and under the meteorite, there was a black dot, supporting Night Maple. After a bitter struggle, Baiju finally retreated. The ninjas of Konaha village were covered in bruises, but their eyes were full of hope. And Yi Feng resisted the heavenly hindrance shocking star, making everyone's hanging hearts a little calmer. Ha! Yi Feng used all his strength to throw the heavenly barrier shock star towards the side where no one was. Rumble. A monstrous. The whole ground shook. Smoke and dust. Wait until the smoke slowly clears. Heavenly barrier earthquake star directly smashed half of Konaha village into a small low hill. The terrain of Konaha village completely changed. What was originally a mountain on one side has now become a mountain on 2 sides, with fire shadow rock on one side and a small hill that has just formed the celestial barrier earthquake star on the other. Everyone's hanging hearts can finally be completely relaxed. Night Maple Lord Niu Bai. Long live Lord Yi Feng. Teacher Yefeng is invincible. Night Maple. Everyone rushed forward. Rushing to the front are Ju Shinai and the 7th class. Tsunade accompanied Uzumaki Mido and watched quietly. Ape Fei sat on the ground, panting, looking at the Night Maple in front of him, and couldn't help but say to himself, I'm old. He remembered what the 2nd generation teacher Senjuma said to himself after the Fire Thunder talk. Ape Fei, you have to love this village and protect those who believe in you, and at the same time, you must also cultivate people who can be entrusted to the next era, and from tomorrow you will be Hokage too. Quote. Bang! The immortal magic mutton, true thousands of hands, and top avatar under Yi Feng's feet also collapsed in an instant, and the ninjutsu was lifted. Ding! Complete option 2 to help Konaha resist the threat of the sky barrier star. Reward, Indra's power. Ding! Do you immediately use the power of Indra? Wait a minute, system, I still have option 1, it's ongoing. Ding! Option 1 is on the line, complete the conditions to get rewards. Yi Feng heard the system's explanation and was immediately relieved. Uchiha, you wait for me. Just now, each team of 4 shadow avatars chased and killed Uchiha and 1 shadow avatar, and each team eliminated 2 shadow avatars, and all the information that these shadow avatars knew returned to Yi Feng's mind. Coupled with the shadow avatar who was exploded by Uchiha, it also brought the relevant information back to Yi Kaide's mind. This is a moment, and after analysis, Yefeng probably knows where the body of Uchiha is located. Ju Shinai hurriedly rushed up and hugged Yefeng tightly, not daring at all that Yefeng's body was full of dust. It's okay. Yefeng touched Ju Shinai's head and said with a smile, there is still a little thing, wait for me. Quote. Wait a minute. Ju Shinai suddenly grabbed Yi Feng. Yi Feng was slightly stunned, and Ju Shinai had already stood on tiptoe and brought his mouth up. Ah! The single dog who followed behind took the soil, watching Ju Shinai take the initiative to kiss Yi Feng, envious and jealous. He involuntarily glanced back at Lin, but Lin looked at Yefeng and Ju Shinai with envy. I really want a handsome boyfriend like my teacher. Obito secretly swore in his heart that I would be more powerful than the teacher in the future. Uchiha's side, constantly running away in the direction of the country of water, has killed the 2 shadow doppelgangers who Yefeng chased him, but unexpectedly, Yefeng's shadow doppelgangers are constantly chasing and killing. It's really like a fly annoyance. But how many shadow doppelgangers do you still have? Is your chakra enough? Quote. Another shadow doppelganger of Hokage was blasted by Uchiha spot. It's annoying. Suddenly, a kuwu flying inscribed with the Flying Thunder God technique came out. Konaha village, Yefeng and Kushina stood quietly, and no one dared to disturb at all. For a long time, his lips parted, and Kushina said with a blushing face, "Come back quickly." Quote. Yefeng nodded, and the figure disappeared. Flying Thunder God's art. Even if it is thousands of miles away, as long as there is a Flying Thunder God technique, it can be reached in an instant. Uchiha, suffer death. Thousands of miles away, the Flying Thunder God came in an instant. Uchiha thought it was Yefeng's shadow doppelganger, and directly kicked it. However, just as Uchiha Ban's foot stepped on Yefeng's body, the power transmitted by the other party made Uchiha Ba slightly stunned. Immediately afterwards, Yefeng's fist was as fast as light and shadow. Bang! A loud bang. Uchiha flew out upside down, but stopped in the air. This is the real body. It seems that your chakra is exhausted. Quote. Yefeng's kick was not as powerful as before. Just a confrontation, Uchiha has already roughly guessed the depth of the Night Maple. It seems that Night Maple dares to chase after him now, and he is simply looking for death. Now the position of the hunter and the prey is completely reversed. I said that the only person who can confront me is between the pillars, but now, plus you, Yefeng. Saying that, Uchiha spotted the seal, refining chakra. Yefeng is very strong, but chakra is not enough. In the eyes of the Forced King, Yefeng is chasing after him now, which is simply the way to death. Since you want to die, I, Uchiha, will send you to hell. With Uchiha as the center, the vast and surging aura instantly spread around, startling a burst of birds. Totally Susanoo. Saying that, Uchiha Madara made a seal on his hands, and the chakra that was visible to the naked eye emerged from his body, almost thick enough to see the shape. I saw countless chakras, forming a behemoth up to 100 meters high in the air. Now this Susanoo, the terrifying momentum burst out, like a tengu, the whole body is covered with armor, there are wings behind him, and 2 long swords on his waist. Towering into the clouds, extremely oppressive. The whole heaven and earth seemed to be quiet. Uchiha looked at Yefeng quietly and said, "It's a pity, your chakra is far less than me. Don't call me mean, you are the bloodline inheritance between the pillars, I will naturally go all out." Quote. Saying that, Uchiha did not hesitate, completely Susanoo raised the long knife in his hand and slashed it down suddenly. Rumble. The long knife that was completely capable of Susa stopped, and behind Yefeng, a deep ravine was directly split. Swish. This rift is extending wildly, and it has reached thousands of meters away in an instant. In front of Yefeng, however, a wooden shield shaped like a fang grimace appeared, blocking the attack of Susanoo. Mu Dun ranking. Uchiha looked at the art of ranking, slightly stunned, and the memory seemed to return to the Battle of the End Valley. At that time, Pillar used this technique to defend against Madara's slash against Madara Susanoo. And now, too, blocked their own attacks. Hehe, it's very good, you exceeded my expectations, but if I continue to chop, how many times can you withstand it? As soon as the words fell, the complete slash of Susa was able to slash, and then it followed. Rumble, 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 stronger every time. For the third time, Yefeng's ranking technique was directly shattered. You are already very strong, but unfortunately, the final winner is me. Saying that, Susanoo raised the long knife representing destruction high, and the terrifying chakra was condensing. In an instant, the knife chi was fierce, and before it was split, it had already split all the trees in the distance. Hokage looked at Uchiha with a smile. You think I don't have enough chakra? Then I'll add a little more. Quote. Use Indra's power. Ding, the host uses the power of Indra. According to the system explanation, this is the complete power of Indra, and after the Night Maple is used, it is equivalent to full power in an instant. Because Yefeng has not fully adapted to the power of Indra, the power of Asura contained in the character card between the 1,000-hand pillars and the power of Indra now cannot be fused into the power of the 6 paths. Night Maple can see the system display, 6 Tao power fusion 1%. Well, only 1%, I don't know when it will be fully integrated. When the fusion degree is 100%, Yefeng's strength should be comparable to the 6 Tao immortals. Uchiha suddenly felt that the chakra in Yi Fang's body suddenly skyrocketed, and it was about to overflow, and it felt like it was solidified like a liquid. Moreover, the chakra floating outside the night maple is purple, with a faint gold in it. What is it? Yi Fang instantly entered the immortal mode, covered in purple gold, and said lightly, "This is the power of Indra." Quote, Indra's power. Uchiha's face changed, and he was completely able to split it directly. Do you understand what Indra's power is? Rumble. A bang. Once again, a wooden shield shaped like a fang grimace appeared in front of Yi Fang, blocking the attack of completely Susanoo. And the woods behind Yi Fang were instantly razed to the ground by the aftermath of this slash. This power. Uchiha's face changed drastically, and his body trembled involuntarily. It doesn't make sense. Why is your chakra still so adequate? Yi Fang smiled and said, "Isn't it surprised?" Quote, saying that, Yi Fang sealed his hands and pressed them on the ground. Suddenly, the earth shook violently, and a huge wooden figure emerged from the ground, about the size of a complete body Susanoo. I don't believe it. Uchiha's eyes widened, and the terrifying chakra-long knife that was completely supreme fell again. However, the wooden man under the control of Yi Kaide, with his hands together, clamped the chakra-long knife that was completely supreme. Bang! A loud bang. The aftermath was enough to flatten the mountain, and it was caught empty-handed by the wooden man of the night maple empty-handed. How is this guy possible? How can there be spare strength to resist? How does his chakra feel stronger than before? Uchiha originally thought that he could solve this battle in an overwhelming manner, but now his mentality is a little broken. Not only did Yi Fang not die, but he became stronger than before. The immortal pattern of such a purple gold chakra in front of him seems to be even more powerful than the original thousand-hand pillar. Just when Uchiha was surprised, Yi Fang made a move. It doesn't take thousands of real hands, it is the wooden man of the art of the wooden man, and he directly punches down. Punch hard. Rumble. An unremarkable punch smashed into the chest of completely Susanoo. Is that where Uchiha is standing? Uchiha's eyes widened, and his huge fist covered the sky, instantly filling his field of vision. Before Uchiha finished speaking, he was directly smashed out of the body of the complete body Susanoo by a punch. It was a huge force that directly shook the air. Rumble. Uchiha smashed a huge crater in the ground, filling the air. And the chest armor that was completely Susanoo also cracked a huge crack. Bang. Complete body Susa can fight back directly. The two giants exchanged their fists and swords and began to fight. And Uchiha flew out of the pit. Bang. A bang. Deafening. How is this possible? Uchiha looked surprised and vomited blood in the air. Just rushed out, now poured again. Rumble. Uchiha once again smashed into the deep pit just now, deeply imprinted in the ground. The corners of Uchiha's mouth were bleeding, and Hokage stood on top of the wooden man's head. Why are you still so strong? Quote, at this time, the battle between the wooden man and the complete body Susanoo also entered the end. Kito's hands had been cut off, but he kicked and flew completely Susanoo. Completely Susanoo flew out directly upside down and smashed on the hill, directly smashing the hill. Rumble. A loud bang. The chakra bones that were completely Susanoo shattered, and the entire Susanoo began to disintegrate, turning into chakra and flowing back into Uchiha's body. Uchiha turned his head and fled. I can't fight it now, but in the bay on the border of the land of fire and the land of water, there are still 3 tails sleeping. As long as you absorb 3 more tails, there is still a chance. The border bays of the land of fire and the land of water are just ahead. Yi Kaide chased behind. Really unexpectedly, Uchiha actually escaped again. But in retrospect, it also feels normal. The king likes to pretend to be forced and likes to pretend, but he is also a person who can flex and stretch. During the 4th Ninja World War, he faced 100,000 ninja coalition army and faced the 5 shadows, with a look of disgust, because his strength was far superior to the enemy. In fact, what he said is normal, but in the eyes of others, it is very pretentious. But at that time, the Forced King also said a lot of good things between the pillars, and was even known as the first pillar blowing. It can be seen that forcing the king is a true temperament. If you feel weak, spray you weak, and think that you are strong is naturally admitted. It is also very true to escape, and he constantly uses the tailed beast Jade to create some trouble for Yi Fang, who is chasing behind. Of course, These troubles are nothing to Yi Fang. It was only when I arrived at the bridge that was straightened by the night maple that I saw Uchiha jumping into the sea. Won't it? Jump into the sea and escape. Ye Fang was also stunned, chased to the shore, and saw that Uchiha had burrowed into the sea. At this moment, a huge turtle creature appeared in the sea. Yi Fang squinted his eyes and looked closely. It was a turtle with 3 tails covered in thorns. 3 tails. Before Yi Kaide could react, Uchiha suddenly came out of the water again, and suddenly from Uchiha's body, countless chakra chains flew out and tied the 3 tails. Roar! Mio had just called out when he was stunned by Uchiha with Susanoo. Under the pressure of super life and death, Uchiha was still in danger, and simply solved the 3 tails, and pulled the 3 tails into his body at once. Absorb the 3 tails. Yi Kaide immediately understood Uchiha's intentions. It's going to be a dying fight. Just as Yokade thought, after Uchiha had absorbed the 3 tails at sea, he turned around and looked at Yokade. The two looked at each other across the cliff and the ocean. Uchiha didn't say much, and directly sealed and pressed on the surface of the sea. Suddenly, the waves are rough. Uchiha spot aged at a speed visible to the naked eye, from long black hair to gray hair, and the originally middle-aged and resolute face once again changed back to the original old wrinkled appearance. And in front of Uchiha, appeared in the outer path golem. At this time, the outer path golem had opened 4 eyes, 9 tails were swaying, and its movements were much more flexible than before, and even emitted a deafening roar. At this time, the outer path golem absorbed 2 tails, 3 tails, 8 tails and 9 tails, and it was already a pseudo Ten-Tail. The ninja of Mist Hidden Village on the other side looked at the changes on the sea and showed a terrified look. What's that? Hurry back and report to the 4th generation of Water Shadow Lord. My god, why is our Wuin village so calamitous? Uchiha's eyes were only Yi Kaide, and his hands were sealed. Dressing Susanoo. In the Battle of the End Valley, he equipped Susanoo as armor on the 9 tails, combining the overwhelming strength of the 9 tails with the extreme defensive power of Susanoo. This time, he equipped Susanoo as armor on the body of the 10 tails. On the body of the 10 tails, the Susanoo armor immediately appeared. With your wooden art, it is impossible to break my prestige Susanoo. Uchiha had witnessed Night Maple use thousands of hands when he was in Konaha village, and now he simply did not believe that Night Maple could use thousands of real hands. If I can still use thousands of hands, I will eat the 10 tails. However, in the next second, Uchiha's eyes were about to pop out. Can Susanoo also be used on the 10 tails? Yi Fang was stunned for a moment, sealed at a rapid speed, and pressed it on the ground. Rumble. I saw that the huge immortal chakra instantly looked like a river, like a seawater, suddenly gushing out. This time, it was also mixed with the power of Indra. Immortal magic Mu done true thousands of hands top. Ye Fang stood on top of the wooden figure, and the wooden man sat on top of the head of the huge Buddha statue. Chakra bursting out of purple and gold mixed together. Boom. On the cliff, directly collapse. The bridge that was originally erected at both ends of the mainland collapsed in an instant. The coastline instantly moves hundreds of meters inland. Countless sand and gravel tumbled to the seashore, instantly filled in and turned into a coast. The 1,000-hand giant Buddha just appeared, and changed the terrain of the entire seaside. The ninjas of the Mist-Hidden Village on the other side exclaimed again. 1,000-handed giant Buddha. It is the 1,000-hand giant Buddha of Night Maple. Hurry back and report to Lord Mizukage. Quote. God, this is the 1,000-hand giant Buddha of the Konaha Demon King, it's really the Demon Buddha. Now Yi Fang's name has spread throughout Wuin village. The ninja of the Mist-Hidden Village called Yokade the Demon King of Konaha. Only the Demon King can summon such a terrifying Demon Buddha. The 10 tails equipped with Susanoo are too big a gap compared to the 1,000 hands Buddha. Night Maple was on the head of the wooden man, looking at the age spots from above. Uchiha was stunned, showing an incredulous look, and he was not fluent in speaking. You, how can it be? Quote. As soon as Shinchian's hands appeared, he defeated Uchiha's psychological defense. It's really unbelievable, this terrifying chakra, all right. I'll just admit you, among the opponents I've fought, you are stronger than the intercolumn, no one can get your right. Quote. I, Uchiha, would like to call you the strongest. Uchiha shouted angrily, and a purple long knife appeared in the hand of the mighty Susanoo Tino, slashing at Shinsen's hand. Even if you know that you are going to lose, you will still shoot, and this is Uchiha. At the last moment of his life, he burned all his life. A knife that condensed his life's will slashed out. Rumble. The chakra-long knife plunged deep between the legs of the thousand-hand giant Buddha and got stuck. Then, the thousand-hand giant Buddha grabbed the 10 tails of Wei costume with one hand, and 1,000 fists behind him, and shot at the same time. Bang, 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 bang. Mighty Susanoo shattered in an instant. The 10 tails of the incomplete body were directly beaten into pieces. And the psychic came out of the 10 tails, and Uchiha, who maintained that vain Susanoo, suddenly spewed out a large mouthful of blood. I still lost. God is not on my side. If I collect 9-tailed beasts, it will definitely not be the result today. I will come back again. Next time, I will become a real 10-tailed human pillar force. At the last moment, Uchiha cancels the psychic of the 10 tails, and the 10 tails disappear at once. Only Uchiha was left alone, falling on the beach. Yi Feng fell from Genshian's hand, and a systematic prompt appeared in his mind. Ding! Complete option 1 to get rewards. SSS level character Uchiha spot dirt transformation. Uchiha Madara died like that. Yi Feng looked puzzled, but since the system prompted, it should be right. When Hokage returned to Konaha village with Uchiha's body, the reconstruction of Konaha village was in full swing. Everyone saw Yi Feng coming, and they walked up one after another. A sea of people. There were densely packed figures everywhere, all watching the return of the Night Maple from a distance. Lord Yi Kaide. Lord Yi Feng is back. He's Uchiha on his hand. Hero. Heroes of Konaha. Quote. Lord Yi Feng. Lord Yi Feng is mighty. At the front is Konaha's current highest level. Sarutobi Hinata, Uzumaki Mito, and the patriarchs of 35 families. These people formed the Provisional Supreme Council for the reconstruction of Konaha now. Kakashi and Obito of the 7th class, as well as Rin, were all squeezed into the back. Too many people. So many people came to greet Teacher Yi Feng. Teacher Yi Feng is awesome. Yi Feng was also slightly stunned when he saw so many people. He had never seen so many people gathered together. He dropped Uchiha's body and asked directly, what about Jushinai? Quote. Everyone was stunned for a moment, quickly let go, and Jushinai behind walked up. Yi Feng saw Jushinai, smiled, touched Jushinai's hair and said, I'm back. Quote. Sarutobi Hinata, Uzumaki Mito, and the patriarchs of 35 families became the background, silently watching the love story of Hokage and Kusanai. Jushinai looked at the people next to him, and said a little embarrassed, Ahem, Yi Kaide, you talk to Naruto-sama first, let's talk about it when we go back. After speaking, Jushinai retreated shyly, so many people watched, can Jushinai not be shy? Hokage looked at Uzumaki Mito and said, Grandma Mito, I brought back Uchiha's body. Quote. At this time, Sarutobi Hinata had already walked to Uchiha's corpse and looked. This is Uchiha. I thought that I had died 40 years ago, and I had been living, and I had been behind the scenes, and I found him, and I had a clue about many things over the years. Quote. Put the body in place. You can't let him pretend to be dead and run away like 40 years ago. With the order of the ape flying sun, the wave Feng Shuiman immediately took the dark ninja and took away the body of Uchiha Ban. Then, Sarutobi looked at Night Feng. Killing 3 generations of water shadows, solving the chaos of the 3 major families of Konaha, and now bringing back the corpse of Uchiha. Under these great achievements, Yi Feng's reputation is probably going to surpass himself. Let's welcome the return of Night Maples. The night of Konaha is still full of human voices. Although the arrival of Uchiha did not cause too many deaths, the entire village of Konaha was destroyed. Even the Hokage building, which had just been rebuilt before, could not escape the disaster. Now all the families in Konaha village are building new homes in full swing. First, remove the ruins and broken bricks and tiles in Konaha village and clear the vacant land. With soil, he asked his grandmother to sit outside the village and rest, and he went to move the broken bricks and tiles out piece by piece. At this time, little Kakashi and Rin came to help. Obito suddenly looked moved. Rin, Kakashi, don't you have to move your house? Quote. Little Kakashi said coolly, my house is nothing, it's been cleaned up. Quote. Lin smiled and said, Mom and Dad are cleaning up, and I'll come over to help. Quote. My eyes are in the sand again. Little Kakashi suddenly rolled his eyes wordlessly. At this time, Uchiha Makoto also came over, let me help you. Quote. Many ninjas who went out on missions came back and saw the ruined Konaha village, and they were stupid. For example, the scarred white Fang banner Mu Shuo Mao, with more than 10 companions, returned to Konaha village together, ready to accept the punishment of the failure of the S-class undercover mission, but saw that Konaha village turned into a ruin, and was immediately dumbfounded. This time, the mission to go undercover to Sand-Hidden Village failed, and in order to save the lives of many of his companions, Kiki Shuo Shigeru exposed the dark lines that Konaha village had buried in Sand-Hidden Village for 30 years. Of course, the dark thread of 30 years was exposed, and Kimu Shuamao still desperately saved all his companions. But Kiki Shuamao knew very well that the failure of this mission was not only a failure, but also made Konaha's intelligence work in Sand-Hidden Village into a very passive situation. And the main person in charge of such a result, Kiki Shuo Shigeru, he knew very well that if he returned to Konaha village this time, he would probably be punished and reprimanded a lot. But even though he knew that he would face punishment and blame if he returned to Konaha, he did not hesitate to save his companion, and he never regretted doing it. Naruto-sama, Shuamao, you're back. I'm sorry, Naruto-sama, Shuo Shigeru has failed to live up to your expectations. Ape Flying Sun Chopper was originally still smiling, but when he saw Kimu Shuamao's words, and saw the more than 10 people following behind him, with scars all over his body, he was stunned. What's the situation? Naruto-sama, I'm sorry, all our dark lines in Sand-Hidden Village have been exposed. When Ape Fei Richo heard this, he immediately wanted to vomit blood. All dark lines. There's a saying MMP doesn't know what not to say. Ape Fei Ri saw an old man behind Kimu Shuamao, and his eyelids jumped. This is the dark thread buried in Cheyenne Village for 30 years, and the old man who specializes in selling alcohol in Cheyenne Village. In Cheyenne Village, from a young man, he has become an old man now. This person was not put down by him, but by the dark thread that his teacher, the second-generation Hokage Senju, had put down, and how much important information about the village of Sunahide had been brought to Konaha village for 30 years. Now uprooted. What is the situation? Ape Fei Sun's heart was dripping blood. The person behind wanted to speak, but was stopped by Kimu Shuamao. Kimu Shuamao said in a deep voice, Lord Hokage, it is all a mistake made by me, the person in charge, and I accept the punishment. Quote. Ape Fei Ri's heart was twitching, looking at Kimu Shuamao, the muscles on his face were twitching, patted Kimu Shuamao's shoulder and said, Okay, I know, you also see the current situation of Konaha, you go back to clean up your house first, just come back. Quote. What else can Ape Flying Sun Chop say? The dark line of 30 years is gone, and this matter will inevitably be settled after the fall. But now this matter is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to quickly re-establish order in Konaha village. Otherwise, if the other 4 ninja villages suddenly attack, it will be a big deal. However, just as Sarutobi Hinata thought, the 4 great ninja villages lurked in Konaha's secret sentry and undercover, and when Uchiha used the celestial barrier shock, they all passed the news back to their own ninja village. Now, the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow of Union Village, the newly appointed 4th generation of Wind Shadow Luasha of Cheyenne Village, and the 3rd generation of Tokage of Yenian Village are all recruiting troops, gathering large troops, and preparing to attack Konaha. Take advantage of Konaha's disease, take Konaha's life. In particular, the 3 generations of Thunder Cage, who were taken away from his son, suspected that the disappearance of the 3 generations of Cage was related to Konaha, Chio and the 4th generation of Cage Rasa, and pointed all the contradictions in his country to Konaha. One of the best ways to deal with the contradictions in your own village is to transfer the contradictions out. Yenian Village, on the other hand, took advantage of the fire to rob. The 3-generation Toying 2-day scale Onoki is not a reckless man like the 3rd generation Lei Ying'ai, not only has terrifying strength, but also has the dust of blood succession elimination that has surpassed the blood succession limit, but also is full of wisdom. The only Wuyin village that didn't move much, in fact, was really scared by thousands of hands. The bay has become a beach, and now the foggy ninja is not very willing to go to sea in a short time. And the initiator Yi Feng, who had just finished eating at this time, patted his stomach. When the results of the dinner came out, Nai was going to marry Yi Kaide, and the wedding date was set for 7 days later. At the same time, Night Maple is about to become the 4th generation Hokage. Tentatively scheduled for tomorrow's Konaha interim high meeting, Yokade will be nominated as Hokage. People who can be the opponent of Night Maple basically do not exist. Although the Night Maple appeared like a shooting star in a short period of time, this meteor was too bright. Yi Feng also did not expect that the woman who snatched the water gate also snatched the position of the water gate. The water gate of this parallel world is probably a sharp knife under Yi Feng. In that case, I'll let you live safely, the Nine-Tails Rebellion or something, just let me bear it. Ye Feng originally wanted to sleep, but the noise outside was too loud, so Ye Feng went out with Ju Shinai. Everyone else's home collapsed, and only the whirlpool courtyard remained. The main reason is that Ye Feng used the Mud and Four Pillars family to directly rebuild the dilapidated whirlpool courtyard. After eating a meal, Ye Feng felt that the chakra in his body also began to recover. I have to say that the Thousand-Hand Pillar is a wireless charging treasure, and I only fought with Uchiha in the afternoon, used 2 Shanfa Mudu Gen thousands of hands, and almost exhausted chakra, and now chakra has begun to recover part of it. Yokade happened to see the 3 students of his 7th class, and Makoto Uchiha were cleaning up the debris, and walked over. Uchiha Makoto's eyes immediately lit up when she saw Yi Kaide, but when she saw Ju Shina behind her, she suddenly showed a bitter smile. Ju Shinai, Yi Feng. The people around also said respectfully, Lord Ye Feng. Quote, now that Night Maple is the hero who saved Konaha, all the ninjas in Konaha village are very respectful to Night Maple. Yi Feng nodded and said, you guys get out of the way, I'll come. Quote, everyone was puzzled, but they still listened to Yi Feng's words and let go one after another. Mu Dun Lianju family. Yi Feng's hands were sealed, very complicated, chakra immediately refined it, and in the land in front of him, countless roots were drilled, and the roots rose up and grew into trees. At a speed visible to the naked eye, these trees turned into houses and dusty all around. Everyone covered their faces, but their eyes showed a look of surprise, stunned. In front of them, one house after another rises, completely new. Not a house, but a row down, forming a new street. It's a miracle. Thank you, Lord Yi Kaide. Thank you, Lord Yi Kaide. Many people were about to kneel down, and were quickly helped up by Yi Feng. Don't do this, raise your hand. This wave gave Ye Feng a wave of goodwill. Ju Shinai, Makoto, and Rin's eyes were wide, and the streamers flickered, and they felt that Ye Feng was too handsome. Obito and little Kakashi were also stunned. Obito even clenched his fists and said, I also want to learn Mu Duan. Quote. Little Kakashi next to him rolled his eyes and said, Mu Dun is the blood succession limit, just like your Sharingan, you can't learn it. Quote. At this time, a voice of appreciation came from behind Yi Feng. Yi Feng, you are too powerful. Quote. Yi Feng looked back and saw that it was the White Fang banner Mu Shuamao. Little Kakashi's eyes also lit up, and his face rushed up with joy. Dad. Quote. Kiki Shuamao's originally serious face showed a smile and hugged little Kakashi. Dad is back. Quote. Father and son reunited, happy and harmonious. Ye Feng did not interrupt their parent-son time, turned around and walked forward, continued to use the Mudu Lianju family, and helped Konaha village rebuild its home. The ninjutsu of Mudden Lianju's family is very expensive chakra, but how can Ye Feng say that he also inherited the chakra between the invincible charging treasure Thousand-Hand Pillars, plus with the power of Indra, slowly come street by street, it is still possible. In addition, every time Ye Feng uses the Mudu Lianju family, he is sealed with both hands, which can also slightly improve efficiency. In this way, Ye Feng spent most of the night rebuilding the entire Konaha village into a treehouse village full of forest atmosphere. Houses made of wood, on the walls, there are occasionally cyan shoots. The entire Konaha village has become like a forest, this is the real Konaha village. Ape Flying Sun Chopper and Ape Flying Lake Biwa, as well as many Konaha high-rises, all showed a look of joy when they watched the trees and buildings rise up. They had expected it to take at least one day, but they didn't expect it to be done in just one night. On this unpeaceful night, every villager and every ninja in Konaha village had a place to sleep. Ape Flying Sun Chopper sighed and said, the role of Yefeng alone can reach 10,000 people. Quote. The high level next to him quickly nodded in agreement. Lord Naruto is right, Lord Yefeng is too strong. Quote. The villagers of Konaha village, with smiles on their faces, moved into the new tree house, and as soon as they entered, they felt a special freshness from the forest of trees. Little Kakashi followed Kiki Shuamao into his new home, knocked on the wood and said, Dad, is Mudun necessarily a blood succession limit, and no one without a bloodline can't learn it? Quote. Even the sane little Kakashi saw such a miracle as Yokade, and his heart was full of yearning. Not to mention others. Sarutobi Hinata led a group of Konaha high-ranking people towards Night Maple and Ju Shinai. Hard work on you, Yi Feng, Ju Shinai. Ju Shinai hurriedly said, it's nothing, Naruto-sama, this is what we should do. Quote. Ape Fairy smiled, but Yi Feng didn't bird him and looked ahead. It seems that only the Uchiha family remains. At this time, a high-ranking Konoha quickly stood up and said, Lord Yi Kaide, and slow. Quote. Yefeng looked at the old man. This high-ranking Konoha hurriedly said, Lord Yokade, we feel that the Uchiha clan should also move to the edge of the village. Quote. As the village guard, this incident did not notify us in time, which brought a major loss of personnel and wealth to our village, and it was obvious that there was a lack of work efficiency. Moving to the edge of the village will benefit our village guards. The words of this Konoha high level have been endorsed by many high-level officials. The hemp rope master has a point. I think the Uchiha family should really move. Ostensibly due to the work of the guards, it was suggested that the Uchiha family relocate. In fact, it was today's attack on Uchiha that made many people in Konoha village question the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Fugaku, who had just rushed over, suddenly turned pale when he heard the words of these high-ranking Konoha high-level. Patriarch Hemp Rope, it's not right for you to say this, we Uchiha clan have done our best. Before he finished speaking, someone immediately refuted, but Uchiha is the ancestor of your Uchiha clan. Now if you Uchiha clan want to clear your name, you must move to the edge of the village. Quote. Yi Feng did not expect that history was still moving closer to his original trajectory. Konoha's high-level alienation and isolation from Uchiha still happened. The fact that Ape Flying Sun did not speak, also proved that he also acquiesced in his heart. During the battle, the idea of Ape Flying Sun / was indeed shaken, but now, Ape Flying Sun / is still more inclined to Konoha's high level. After all, the concept of beware of the Uchiha family was passed down from the second generation. These high-level students are second-generation students, and their ideas are passed down from generation to generation. Ding, based on the existing situation of the host, provide 3 choices. Option 1. Agree to the suggestion of the wooden high-level and forcibly relocate the Uchiha clan to the outskirts of Konoha village. Reward, S-Class Forbidden Art, Heavenly Curse. Option 2. Both sides do not help. Take Ju Shinai, turn around and leave directly. Reward, S-Class Character Card, Sasuke Uchiha, Heavenly Spell Seal, Makoto Uchiha Good Impression -10. Option 3. Build a 6-story building in the original territory of the Uchiha clan. Reward, S-Class Character Card, Uchiha Itachi, Knight of the Extinction, Uchiha Makoto Favor +10, Uchiha Fugaku Favorites +10. Yefeng pondered for a moment and stopped Uchiha Fugaku from speaking. Don't say it, it's really not very convenient for the guards to live in the village. Quote. When Uchiha Fugaku heard this, his face suddenly sank, and his heart was bitter. Even Lord Yokade felt that all this was the fault of our Uchiha clan. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku's mind appeared Uchiha Madara's arrogant look. Indeed, Uchiha Madara is the ghost of our Uchiha clan, and the people of Konoha village do not believe us, and there is indeed a reason. Although Uchiha Fugaku is reasonable, but his heart is particularly uncomfortable. The head of the family, Uchiha, suddenly died tragically, and now the Uchiha family is leaderless, and he is forced to leave the territory of the Uchiha family for many years. This is something that has never been tried in Konoha village. As one of the 10 major families in Jonkyun, no family has ever left their territory, and if the Uchiha family is the first, it will be a shame for the Uchiha clan. Ju Shinai next to him frowned when he heard Yi Feng's words. She thinks that the Uchiha family is not wrong, but the mistake is only the mistake of the Uchiha spot, and the mistake of the Uchiha spot cannot be attributed to the Uchiha family, right? And many high-ranking people in Konoha were slightly stunned when they heard Yi Feng's words, and suddenly showed a smile. At the beginning, there were still many high-ranking people in Konoha who felt that Ye Feng was too young, and besides, they were worried that Ye Feng's ideological consciousness was not high enough. Now it seems that Ye Feng is really still heading towards our Konoha village, and he is really the perfect heir to inherit the will of fire. However, just when the high level of Konoha was complacent, he saw Ye Feng walking to the territory of the Uchiha clan. What does Ye Feng want to do? Under their puzzled eyes, Ye Feng asked the people of the Uchiha clan to get out of the way. Mu Dun Four-Pillar Family. In the territory where the Uchiha clan has been razed to the ground, rise tall buildings on the ground. The people of the Uchiha clan widened their eyes and watched as the trees instantly grew larger, became pillars, and erected a brand new tall building. This, the Uchiha clan, who reacted quickly, had already bowed down to Yi Feng. Lord Yi Feng, thank you. Quote. Yi Feng raised his hand, and the root vines immediately drilled out of the ground, helping all these Uchiha clansmen who knelt down to him. It's okay, just raise your hand, you Uchiha clan deserve it. The people of the Uchiha clan even turned red when they heard Ye Feng say this. Many people have heard that the Konoha high level wants them to relocate, and they also know that the appearance of Uchiha will make the whole of Konoha no longer trust them. Unexpectedly, Ye Feng affirmed them. The high-ranking Konoha, who was originally very happy, had a condensed expression on his face. Even Ape Flying Sun was slightly stunned, unexpected. Yi Feng's behavior is sometimes really elusive. Uchiha Fugaku was still a little confused. Didn't Night Maple agree with those high-ranking Konoha high-ranking statements? How did you turn around and help their Uchiha family again? The hemp rope master who had just spoken couldn't help but say, Lord Ye Feng, what do you mean by this? Quote. Ye Feng smiled and said, I think you guys have a point. As a guard, I am really not responsible for my own work in the center of the village, so my idea is to build another house on the edge of the village, specifically for the Uchiha guard. Quote. And this is Uchiha's territory, naturally inhabited by people from the Uchiha clan who are not guards. Yi Feng's words made everyone's mouths open slightly. They didn't expect Yi Feng to deal with this matter like this. What did they want to say? But Ye Feng had already built the building. Was it useful to say anything more? Besides, it is to offend Yi Feng. So even the hemp rope owner, who was very unhappy in his heart, still endured it. Ape Fei Ri looked at Yi Feng quietly, and his heart was full of emotion. Yi Feng's way of dealing with it like this, he did not expect it. I'm really old. Perhaps, Night Maple becomes the new Hokage, and can really lead the entire Konoha to glory. Uchiha Fugaku was ashamed that he had misunderstood Yokkade just now, and said with a guilty face, Yokkade-sama, you take a break, the house on the edge of the village, let us Uchiha guard do it. Quote. No, that's all you have left with the Uchiha guard, and I'll get the whole village done. Yi Feng sighed slightly in his heart, hey, I can't help it. If you want to pinch the system wool, that's all. If the Uchiha family is allowed to build their own house, who knows if the system is considered their own. When Ye Feng built all the houses of the Uchiha family on the edge of the village, the voice of completing the choice appeared in his mind. Ding, complete option 1, agree to the suggestion of the Konoha high level, forcibly relocate the Uchiha clan to the outskirts of Konoha village, and get a reward, S-class art, heavenly spell seal. Ding, complete option 3 to build a 6-story building in the original territory of the Uchiha clan and get rewards. S-class character Ka Uchiha Itachi Knight of Extermination Uchiha Makoto favor +10, Uchiha Fugaku favor +10. Ye Feng was speechless when he looked at Uchiha Fugaku's favor +10, why did he want Uchiha Fugaku's favor? However, the set of Uchiha Weasel is one step closer to the goal of collection, and there is still a Uchiha Weasel Shao organization which can be synthesized. In addition, the S-class Forbidden Technique Heavenly Spell Seal is also interesting. This is a forbidden technique for cultivating subordinates, which can infuse them with the Heavenly Spell Seal, thus making them more powerful and making unnatural changes. For example, Sasuke's second form of the Heavenly Spell Seal can grow wings and fly, which is a bit fierce. In addition, this is still a life-saving skill. even if it is really hanged, it can be revived through the heavenly spell seal. Of course, the second point has no effect on Yifeng. Along the way, people kept coming to Yifeng, Lord Yifeng. Quote, Yi Kaide felt like a Hokage and beckoned in thanks. It wasn't until he returned to the whirlpool courtyard that Yifeng breathed a sigh of relief. This time, too many people thanked themselves. Zhu Shinai held Yifeng's hand, with a look of self-determination. This is my husband. Yes, although she has not yet married, Zhu Shinai already wants to call Yifeng's husband. So ashamed. Don't look at Zhu Shinai as very fierce when treating other people, but Yifeng is completely at the level of a male god in Zhu Shinai's heart. Zhu Shinai faced Yifeng, only the demeanor of a little woman, there was no such fierce look at all, and the little bird was next to Yifeng. The next day, early in the morning, Kaide arrived at the Hokage building. This was the first temporary high-level meeting for the reconstruction of Konaha village. The Hyuga clan, the Uchiha clan, the Nara clan, the Yamanaka clan, the Akamichi clan and other 35 major families of Konaha, as well as a group of upper ninja who have status in Motoha village, convened for a meeting here. Orochimaru walked to Yifeng's side and said softly, Yifeng, I know the position of Hokage, I can't grab you, but you have to promise me and support my experiment. Quote. Yifeng smiled and didn't say anything. Then Yokkade saw Jiraiya, Tsunade, and they all said hello. Yifeng sat down in the front row, while Bofeng Shuaman, Kimu Shuamao, who were not elite Shangnin within the 35 family, all sat in the back row. Watergate looked at Yifeng, who was sitting in front, and said in his heart that he didn't envy, it was fake. Kimu Shuamao was slightly nervous. Yesterday Ape Flying Sun Chopper did not scold him, and the others did not say anything, but this calmness made Kimu Shuamao more worried in his heart. After all, he destroyed the dark line hidden in Cheyenne village for 30 years. Kimu Shuamao knew very well that this was an unforgivable crime for any Shangnin. Now, Kimu Shuamao doesn't know what the village will do. After the people came together, the 3 generations of Hokage Ape Flying Sun Chopper slowly walked out. He walked up to the podium and looked around, glancing at Kimu Shuamao halfway, and finally at Yifeng. The matter of Kimu Shuamao will be handed over to the next Hokage to handle. Ahem, okay, everyone is here, then let's start. In the past month, because of the many conflicts between Kirihide village and Union village, as well as the crimes and rebellions of the Shimura clan, the Mito clan and the Shunni clan, coupled with the impetus behind the scenes, Uchiha Madara, we in Konaha have suffered a great impact. The casualties of 1,000 ninjas on the front line, and the village of Konaha once fell into ruins. Sarutobi said on the stage, and the people in the audience recalled that in the past month, there were probably more things that had happened in Konaha village than in the previous year. It was as if things had exploded suddenly. Many people's eyes flashed with essence, listening to the speech of the Ape Flying Sun, their hearts were more or less guessing whether the war in the ninja world was coming again. I only heard Sarutobi continue to say, Konaha village has suffered so much loss in this month. As Hokage, I, Ape Flying Sun, must give everyone an explanation. Speaking of which, he paused for a moment, and took a deep breath. Looking at everyone in the audience, he said lightly, so. I decided to take the position of Hokage. Everyone looked surprised. What? Nope. Lord Hokage, the losses of Yi village are all caused by Union village and Uchiha spot, and this is not your responsibility at all. Quote. Yes, Naruto-sama, you don't have to blame yourself. In fact, a large number of people have already received the wind. Life in the world depends on acting skills. Don't say more. Sarutobi looked at everyone in the audience with a firm look in his eyes, and said in a loud voice, in this month, I have deeply felt how correct the spirit of our Konaha village and our will of fire are. Quote. Where the leaves fly, the fire endures. The fire will continue to illuminate the village and allow new leaves to sprout. Quote. Young people are the hope of our Konaha. I am old, I believe that our younger generation of Konaha can take on the heavy responsibility of Hokage and can take on all important positions in Konaha. I've been on the Hokage seat for 25 years, it's time for the younger generation to come up. Now I believe in our young people in Konaha, just like the second generation Hokage Senjuma-sama back then, I believe in us. Speaking of this, Ape Feire's eyes were full of tears. He loves Konaha deeply and really wants Konaha to develop better. At the same time, he felt powerless. Therefore, it is the right time to abdicate now. So the candidates for the fourth generation of Hokage. Many people looked at Fang, who was sitting in the front row, at this time. At this time, the head of the Hyuga family couldn't help but say, Naruto-sama, then the fourth generation of Hokage, have you chosen anyone? Quote. Sarutobi said lightly. All of us, each of us recommends a candidate, and the one with the most support is elected as the fourth generation Hokage. Quote. As soon as these words came out, the audience roared. Not specified, many family masters had a flash of golden light in their eyes. Although the position of the Hokage is most likely Fang's, it may not be impossible for them to compete. Just when these family masters were hot in their hearts, Tsunade took the lead in raising his hand. I, Tsunade, recommend Yokade as the fourth generation Hokage. Immediately afterwards, Zlai and the Big Snake Pill also stood up one after another. I, Jiraiya, recommend Yokade as the fourth generation Hokage. I, Orochimaru, recommend Yuru to serve as the fourth generation Hokage. Konaha Sanshin unanimously recommended Yokade as the fourth generation of Hokage. Many people showed a surprised look. They originally thought that the Big Snake Pill would still compete with Fang. After all, the Big Snake Pill was the most outstanding disciple under the 8 Flying Sun / Unexpectedly, the Big Snake Pill took the initiative to withdraw from the competition. Behind the 3 shinobi of Konaha, it is not the support of the 35 family, but it represents a large part of the upper shinobi. White Fang Chi Mu Shuo Mao, Hokage half-sleeved, raised his hand and said, I, Chi Mu Shuo Mao, recommend Fang to serve as the position of the fourth generation of Hokage. Quote. Many people looked at Chi Mu Shuo Mao, and were surprised that Konaha White Fang had given up competing for the position of Hokage. And then quite a few people probably understood. Yakid is the teacher of Kakashi, the son of Kiki Shuamao, and Kiki Shuamao naturally supports Yakid. Bofeng Shuaman pondered, and also raised his hand and said, I, Bofeng Shuaman, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. Quote. Then, the back was a group of shinobi, and they all raised their hands and said, I, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. Quote. For no other reason, last night Fang rebuilt the wooden house for the whole village, and harvested these Shangnin's hearts. For these upper shinobi, it is very simple, if you are good to me, I will be good to you. None of the others had spoken yet, and Yefeng had already gained the support of more than 0 people. This is only a 16-year-old young man. However, Fang's prestige and strength are enough to withstand this respect. But the 35 major families, no one has spoken yet. Suddenly, Uchiha Fugaku raised his hand. I, on behalf of the Uchiha clan, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. All the heads of the family looked at Uchiha Fugaku in surprise. This young man turned out to be the new head of the Uchiha clan. Immediately afterwards, Inuga Butterfly, Yamanaka clan, Nara clan, Akamichi clan, and the heads of the 3 families all unanimously said that they recommended Yokade for the position of the fourth generation of Hokage. Up to now, everyone has recommended the candidate, all of them are Maple. The head of the Hyuga family, who originally had some ideas, pondered and said, I, on behalf of the Hyuga clan, recommend Yokade to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. Quote. Because now, Yefeng has won more than half of the votes, there is no need to fight anymore. At this time, brushing the good feeling in front of the 4 generations of Hokage is the real choice. The other family heads who can sit in the position of family head are all human spirits, and all their thoughts are similar to the Hyuga family head. I, on behalf of the Hemp Rope family, recommend Yefeng to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. I, on behalf of Sarutobi looked at everyone's recommendation, his eyes flickering. That's what everyone wants. In the end, only Uzumaki Mito remained without saying anything. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, I, on behalf of the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan, recommend Yokade to serve as the fourth generation of Hokage. Quote. The number of participants in the meeting was 58, and 57 people have already expressed their views. The last person is the 8 Flying Sunchop. Sarutobi nodded, smiled and said, then. Now it is announced that the person who serves as the fourth generation of Hokage is Night Maple. Quote. That's it. Konaha's 4 Hokage were settled in this high-level meeting. Night Maple. It is the generation Hokage of Motoha. 4 generations of adults. Naruto-sama. After the meeting, the ninjas dispersed one after another. But they will also hit Yi Fang's side. Congratulations to the new Hokage. 4 generations of Hokage-sama. If you have a chance, please come to the Uchiha family and take a seat. Quote. Uchiha Fugaku said very respectfully to Yokade. Yefeng was slightly stunned and nodded. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Fugaku really became the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. This made Yefeng feel once again how powerful the plot inertia of the Hokage world was. Yi Feng suddenly thought to himself, then, Uchiha-ban, is it possible to come back again? And the Otoki Kagaya who stole the fruits of Uchiha's spot. Even Bofeng Shuaman and Kimu Shuamao came up to congratulate them. Congratulations. Night Maple is now the 4th generation of Hokage. Quote. Congratulations, Yi Feng. The Dark Ninja is very efficient. After the meeting, it didn't take an hour to spread through the village of Benye. Have you heard? The 3 Hokage gave way. Lord Night Maple will take over as the 4th generation of Hokage. Quote. Oh my god. It's true. Of course it's true. The Hokage succession ceremony will be held tomorrow. It is most suitable for Lord Yefeng to serve as the 4th generation of Hokage, and the 3rd generation of adults is still old. Don't talk nonsense. The 3rd generation of adults is not abdicating yet. Be careful that the dark department catches you. Quote, quote. Various places in Konaha village. People are talking about Night Maple's new Hokage. For the fact that Yokade served as the 4th generation of Hokage, everyone in Konaha village agreed very much. At this time, Obito's eyes were about to pop out. Sister Makoto, Yokade-sensei is going to be Hokage. Quote. Makoto nodded with a smile and said, yes, Yokade-sensei wants to become the 4th generation of Hokage in Konaha, and the youngest Hokage in history. Obito, you have to cheer too. Quote. Obito nodded fiercely, and then said, Yi Feng-sensei is going to be a Hokage, isn't there no time to teach us? Quote. Makoto sighed and said, yes. Quote. Makoto. Suddenly, a woman's voice came from behind Makoto. Makoto was slightly stunned, turned her head, and was stunned. Ju Shinai. Ju Shinai came up and said, go, have dinner at night. Quote. Dinner. Ju Shinai nodded. Yes, celebrate Yefeng as the 4th generation of Hokage. Quote. Obito next to him couldn't help but ask, sister, can I go? Quote. Ju Shinai touched Obito's head and said, of course, you all have to go to the 7th class. Quote. In this way, Ju Shinai, Makoto, and the 3 members of the 7th class participated in Yi Fang's celebration banquet. Teacher Yefeng, congratulations. Teacher Yefeng, congratulations. Yefeng smiled and said, you're welcome, sit. Quote. As soon as he sat down, a clear voice came from behind him. Hey, brother-in-law. Yefeng was suddenly speechless, and when he looked back, it was indeed Tsunade. Tsunade, this guy, likes to take advantage of himself. When Ju Shinai heard Tsunade call Yokade's brother-in-law, his face immediately turned red. Tsunade also patted Yoriki's shoulder and said, brother-in-law, I'm happy to be a Hokage. Quote. Seeing that Yokade didn't have a bird, Tsunade also said, hey, brother-in-law, when are you going to have a wedding with Ju Shinai? Quote. Wedding. When Makoto next to her heard this, she was immediately stunned and looked at Yi Feng. Everyone looked at Yi Feng. Obito was excited. Teacher, you're getting married. Married to such a beautiful sister Ju Shinai, teacher Yefeng is really lucky. Thinking of this, Obito secretly glanced at Rin who was sitting next to him. However, Rin completely ignored Obito and looked at Yefeng and Ju Shinai. Teacher Yefeng and sister Ju Shinai, how happy. Yi Feng smiled and said, we plan to set the wedding in 6 days. Quote. 6. Is there anything included? Quote. Everyone was curious. Yi Feng squeezed Ju Shinai's soft little hand and said, there is no special meaning, yesterday I said to Ju Shinai that it was a 7-day contract. Quote. Ah, teacher Yefeng is so sweet. Brother-in-law, you can do it. Tsunade was very happy, took a sip of the wine in front of him, his face turned crimson, he filled another glass of wine, raised it and said, very good, brother-in-law, in that case, today I will be a notary. Yokade interrupted Tsunadeheim. Tsunadeheim, the notary of the wedding, is Grandma Mito. Quote. Well, I mean this moment, it's very important, I want to witness, you don't understand it. Tsunade is angry. Drink, don't say anything. After 3 rounds of drinking, Tsunadeheim's face turned crimson and she lay down directly. Night Maple. After drinking a few glasses of wine, Jushinai's face turned even redder, and her beautiful eyes looked at Yi Feng. In front of so many people, announcing the marriage date made Jushinai feel a little nervous, and at the same time there was a feeling of happiness. Yi Feng-kun, congratulations. Makoto looked at Yi Feng with envy and raised the wine glass in her hand. I wish you and Jushina happiness. Quote. Saying this, Makoto felt a little bitter in her heart. But Makoto still smiled and said, I didn't expect our group of people, it turned out that you got married first. Quote. Yi Feng touched his nose and smiled, not knowing what to say. Because the system suddenly prompted, Makoto was in a good mood of +10. What's going on? Can such a good impression also be +10? Yi Feng couldn't understand what the situation was. No matter what, Yi Feng-kun, Jushinai, you must be fine. Jushina said shyly. Makoto, thank you for your blessing. Quote. Yi Feng also nodded and said, I will definitely do. Quote. At Night Maples they celebrate at the time. Jiraiya and Sarutobi were talking in Hokage's office. Jiraiya, time flies so fast. Sarutobi sat in his seat and looked at the moon outside the window, and couldn't help but sigh. Yes, teacher. Zilai also looked at the back of the ape flying sun, and couldn't help sighing and said, Teacher, Yi Feng serves as the Hokage, it's okay, you can rest. Quote. Ape Fei nodded and said, Yes, I didn't think it before, I still think I can last for 10 years, 20 years is fine, but yesterday's battle made me realize that it is really the back wave pushing the front wave. Quote. Teacher, Ape Fei smiled and said, it's just a complaint of a retired old man, since I have already decided. Naturally, he also believes in Yi Maple. Quote. Suddenly, a black shadow flew out and landed in front of Ape Flying Sun and Jiraiya. Report Naruto-sama, Uchiha's body, gone. The smile on Ape Flying Sunchop's face instantly stiffened. What? Uchiha's body, missing again. Quote. Who stole it? There are 10 corpses guarded by shinobu in the dark part, and they are actually missing. Quote. Z-Lai's face was also full of horror. Hearing the dark ninja say in detail, the faces of Sarutobi Hinata and Jiraiya changed. The 10 dark ninjas waited until the end of the night to find out that what they had been guarding was not the corpse of Uchiha Madara, but a white corpse. Transferred. This ghost of Uchiha should not be resurrected and run away. Ape Fei said with a solemn face, call Yi Feng immediately. Soon, the door banged. Come in. Is there something wrong with Uchiha's body? Ape Fei nodded and said, yes, I don't know what the situation is, the body is missing. Quote. Got it, it's okay, wait for me to come back, I've left a mark on the corpse. Before the words fell, Yi Feng's figure had disappeared. Flying Thunder God's art. In the next second, Yi Feng's figure suddenly appeared above Uchiha's body. At this time, it was already very far away from Konaha village. I don't know when, Black and White Absolute transferred Uchiha's body. But no matter how to adjust the bag, he didn't expect that Yi Feng left the Flying Thunder God technique on Uchiha. Black and White saw that Yi Feng was coming, and he was suddenly shocked. You actually had a head start. Black and White carried the corpse, and when he turned back, a bitter woo shot out, and at the same time, the figure flashed and fled. However, under Hei-Bai-Ju's feet, countless saplings appeared, which instantly grew into tree roots and entangled Hei-Bai-Ju's feet. Hei-Bai-Ju showed a surprised look. Mu Duan. Quote. Still want to escape. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Quote. Today, it's time to fix you. Hei-Ju said in surprise. You had premeditated it. Quote. As soon as the words fell, Yi Feng directly thundered 1,000 birds, shattering the Black and White. Not dead yet, Mu Duan. Quote. Countless tree roots and vines absorbed all these broken Black and White absolutes. The black shard made a terrified voice. Impossible, how can you absorb me? Quote. This is the power of Indra. How can you have Indra power? Quote. Hei-Ju shouted in horror, but countless black jeopardy fragments were announced by Yi Feng. It should be gone, Go back. After solving the black and white extreme, Yefeng carried Uchiha's body and immediately went back. However, not long after Yefeng left, he suddenly drilled out a black and white absolute in place. Unexpectedly, this guy is also the reincarnation of Indra, but it doesn't make sense. If Indra is reincarnated, he doesn't have the eye of reincarnation. What the hell is going on here? This newly emerged black and white animal did not dare to stay in place, quickly dug out a piece of meat, and left immediately. Uchiha's flesh and blood should be able to cultivate a body suitable for the rebirth of dirt. Chapter 91. The appearance of Yifeng suddenly increased the difficulty of the Black Absolute mother-saving record. Originally, Uchiha was able to find an heir with soil, and passed it on from generation to generation, until the appearance of Kagaya Itsuki. Now, the shadow of Obito is gone, and Uchiha is hanging. Now Kuroji's idea is to find a way to revive Uchiha first. It's hard to find a perfect tool person like Uchiha. Besides, now that the Ten-Tails have collected 4-tailed beasts, there are still 5 left, and they can resurrect their mother Datuki Kagaya. Yokade safely brought Uchiha's body back to Konaha village, and this time, Uchiha's body was completely sealed in the sarcophagus, no longer giving any chance. But Yefeng didn't know how, and always felt a little uneasy. It always felt like something he had overlooked. What's going on? I didn't let Yefeng think more. Because the next day, Yefeng followed the ape flying sun to hand over the management authority of various departments, and at the same time brought the high level who were familiar with each department. Because Yefeng holds the position of the 4th generation of Hokage, the position of the head of the administration department is about to be relinquished. The new head of the Ministry of Administration will be appointed to whom? Yi Feng's first reaction was to think of his corpse-carrying little brother Bo Feng Shuaman. 3 generations of Hokage, or will you let Bo Feng Shuaman be the head of the administration department? Ape Fei Ri shook his head and said, this can't work, Watergate he should be the head of the dark department. Quote, isn't the Minister of Darkness Kiki Shuo Shigeru? Ape Fei Ri sighed and said, no, Shuo Mao, he made a big mistake and can no longer serve as the Minister of the Dark Department. Quote, listening to the ape flying sun, Yefeng immediately understood what was going on. It was Kiki Shuo Shigeru who gave up the task in order to save his companions, which led to being blamed by the whole village, and finally even the rescued companions accused him in turn, and finally chose to commit suicide because he couldn't stand the exclusion of everyone, which also led to Kakashi's shadow in his heart since he was a child. In the original, it is not mentioned very carefully. Now Yifeng can be regarded as understanding various reasons. In fact, it is a classic rail selection problem. If you are a conductor and there are 10 children playing on one normal running track and 1 child playing on another abandoned track. If you choose to save the 10 children in front of you, then you will go off track and kill that 1 child. If you choose the right track, all 10 children in front of you will die. Kimu Shuamao chose to save his companion in front of him and gave up the dark thread that had been buried for 30 years, which led to a big problem in the intelligence work of Cheyenne village. In the future, because of the lack of intelligence, more people died, and finally Kimu Shuamao committed suicide. That's such a thing. It's really hard to choose. So, this should be the first thing you have to deal with when you take office, how to deal with it. Yi Feng glanced at the ape flying sun, this old monkey is really cunning. Bang! Yi Feng's shadow doppelganger was lifted, and the things explained instantly returned to the body. At the same time, at the door of the Hokage building, 2 figures walked out. It was the Night Maple and the ape flying sun. This is who they are. The shadow avatar goes to hand over the work, and the body performs the Hokage handover ceremony. I saw the ape flying sun chopping for the Night Maple wearing a bucket sign with the word, fire, printed on it. Then put on a Hokage robe for Yikaide. There are 4 dragon and phoenix dances on the back. 4 generations of Hokage. Then, Sarutobi stepped aside, a smile on his already wrinkled face, clapping. Yikaide raised his bucket with his left hand. A plain handsome face was revealed, and the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned. Thanks to everyone's love, from today onwards, I will be the 4th generation of Hokage in Konaha Hidden Village. He said loudly to the dense Konaha village ninja and villagers in front of him. 4 generations of Hokage-sama. Naruto-sama. Lord Yikaide. Quote. The news of the abdication of the third generation of Hokage in Motoha village and the handover of the fourth generation of Hokage spread in an instant. Time. The entire ninja world was shaking. Land of Water. In the village of Mist, the fourth generation water shadow Citrus Yakura, who has just ascended to the throne, is in a meeting with the elder group. I didn't expect that the ape flying sun chop could really retreat in a hurry, so he abdicated, and also pushed on such a young Hokage. Quote. According to the information we got, the fourth generation of Hokage Yakid, just yesterday, fought fiercely with Uchiha in our bay, changing the topography of the entire bay. Quote. Citrus Yakura sighed and said, yes, the hero of the troubled world, so young, has the strength to surpass Uchiha, even if the three tails are in front of them, it is not at all. Quote. Wuin village has long known the existence of the three tails, but one does not go to capture. First, there is no suitable human pillar force, and second, the country of water fog hidden village naturally has a barrier of the bay, and the big war on the mainland is generally extended to Wuin village. The tailed orc pillar force is as attractive to the mist hidden village as the other four hidden villages. Speaking of which, Yi Fang's was still caused by Union Village's robbery of Zuli candidate Uzumaki Ju Shinai, and later Union Village suffered 2 fiasco defeats in succession, and even the son of Thunder Shadow and the eight-tailed man Zuli were all involved. It seems, Union Village has become the fourth generation of Hokage of Konaha. Quote. Union Village took the initiative to start a war. Then he was defeated by the other side. Heavy losses from themselves. Not to mention, it also brought huge benefits to the other party. Well, this is also surprising to us. The village of Konaha, which has always been peace-loving, suddenly became like this, which is also something that we are very surprised about. Land of Thunder, Union Village, Thunder Shadow Office. The third generation of I was so angry that he directly smashed the wooden table in front of him. Rumble. With a loud bang, the wooden table smashed directly, and even the ground cracked. Lei Ying's office is fortunately on the first floor, otherwise the ceiling downstairs would have blown up directly. Abominable, so abominable. The three generations of Thunder Shadow were very angry, and the tasks of Union Village failed one after another, and Yefeng was the biggest reason for it. Now that Konaha has molded Night Feng into a hero, and also pushed Night Feng to become the fourth generation of Hokage, isn't it hitting himself in the face of Thunder Shadow and Union Village? Moreover, his own son is still a prisoner in Konaha. As soon as he thought that he was likely to go to Konaha to negotiate with such a hairy boy in the future, the three generations of Thunder Cage were angry. Other big countries and small countries, big ninja village, small ninja village, all ninjas, are sighing. Akami Shinobu, who is less than 18 years old, jumps directly from Shimo Shinobu to Kami Shinobu within a month, and then to Hokage. This is simply an exaggeration. But thinking about what Yefeng has done in this month, as well as his identity, and feeling that all this is also possible. It is also the three generations of Hokage Ape Flying Sun Chopper that has such courage. In the afternoon, in the conference room of the Hokage building, Yefeng was holding the first important meeting of the four generations of Hokage. The attendees were all high-ranking officials of Konaha village. Hokage-sama, Iwahide village in the land of earth, and Mist Hidden village in the land of water. The village of Sand Hidden in the land of the wind, and there are letters of congratulations from Union Village in the land of thunder, expressing their willingness to communicate peacefully with us, so are we going to reply to them one by one? Quote. Yi Feng nodded and said, yes, by the way, Yenian Village and Cheyenne Village, have there been any changes recently? I heard the three generations of Hokage mention it. Quote. Immediately someone said, yes, Naruto-sama, there are changes in Iwayne Village and Sand Hidden Village, they are all secretly stationing troops, and we guess that their target is either as Konaha or Union Village. Quote. Of course, they want to attack us, and if you want to avoid the land of rain where the demigods are located, you must first pass through the country of grass and the country of river, which still takes a little time. Another person said, however, the dark lines we have now in Cheyenne Village have all been uprooted. It is the huge loss caused by the Shangnan banner Mu Shuamao. We don't have any news at all about the movements of Cheyenne Village now. Quote. Immediately, several people raised their hands. I demand severe punishment of Chi Mu Shuamao. Naruto-sama, I second. Lord Naruto, this is a very serious accident, and it was deliberately done by Kiki Shuamao, and it must not be spared. Yi Feng looked at the high-level officials who spoke with a smile, representing the Ministry of Administration, the Ministry of Education, the Department of Interrogation, and the newly established Supreme Council equivalent to the Council of Elders. Behind them are all the families at the back of the 35 family, so they huddle together. Now they are attacking Kimu Shuamao. Firstly, they want to weaken Yefeng's influence in Konaha village and prevent Yefeng's family from dominating, and secondly, they want to completely knock the Kimu family into the dust. Kiki Shuo Shigeru's great achievements in World War II gave him the Hokage half-sleeve, and this major accident was the best chance to attack him. If Kimu Shuamao is let go this time, then with the identity of Yefeng as Kimu Shuamao's son teacher, maybe at that time, Yefeng will really be able to make Kimu Shuamao make meritorious contributions. At that time, the Kimu family was probably going to be among the top families in Konaha. In that case, the lower families of these 35 families will have a lower status. They don't want to see that. So there is today's impeachment. The timing was just right. On the first day of Yi Feng's tenure, when Yi Feng had not been able to sort out his head, he quickly cut through the mess. Behind these high-level officials, there is actually more family support. They are willing to see Night Maple become the fourth generation of Hokage, but they do not want to see more civilian families hugging Night Maple and squeezing into the top families to compete with them for the highest power in Konaha. Yi Feng knocked on the table and said with a deep groan, "What you said is not unreasonable. Call Kimu Shuamao over. By the way, there is also the Wave Feng Shui Gate." Quote. Others were slightly stunned. It was normal to call Kimu Shuamao Lai, but it was called Bo Feng Shuaman. What was this for? Soon, Kimu Shuamao and Bo Feng Shuaman both came, half kneeling in front of Yi Feng. Naruto-sama, Naruto-sama, get up, Watergate, call the 18 Arhats of the Dark Department to come over. Watergate was slightly stunned, nodded and said, yes. Quote. As soon as the words fell, the figure of the Watergate disappeared. When everyone heard the 18 Arhats in the Dark Department, they were slightly stunned. When did such a name appear in the Dark Department? This is all Yi Feng's shadow doppelganger, discussed with Watergate in the morning, and the best 18 Naka shinobi in the Dark Department are combined to form 18 Arhats, which is the backbone of the Dark Department now. Then, Yefeng looked at Kimu Shuamao and said, Kimu Shuamao, I heard that you exposed the dark thread that our Konaha has been buried in Cheyenne village for 30 years, is there such a thing? Quote. Kimu Shuamao showed a guilty look and said, yes, Naruto-sama, there is indeed this matter, all this is Kimu Shuamao's fault, Kimu Shuamao is willing to be punished. Quote. Yi Feng looked at Kimu Shuamao, this is a sincere person, he deserves to be killed. Whoever told you to be so honest and did not explain anything, took all the mistakes on himself. In this society, in order to be mixed, we must first know how to throw the pot. Whether it's your pot or not, you can't smash it in your hands in the first place. A person like Kimu Shuamao, who is honest and friendly and loves his companions, is strange not to be smashed to death by a pot. You see, Kimu Shuamao just finished speaking, and someone immediately agreed with Kimu Shuamao's words. Naruto-sama, you must not tolerate such an act that damages Konaha. Naruto-sama, you see that Kiki Shuamao has admitted it. The big mistake he made this time, the consequences are incalculable. I beg Naruto-sama to remove his Hokage half-sleeve. Quote. Naruto-sama, I ask Naruto-sama to remove his Hokage half-sleeve and degrade him to Naka shinobi. Kimu Shuamao lowered his head, his shoulders trembled slightly, but he still held back his anger. At this time, Bo Feng Shuaman came back, and when he heard the words of these high-level officials, he was angry. Senior Kiki has contributed so much to Konaha, how can you do this? As soon as these words came out, he was immediately stunned. Bo Feng Shuaman, please pay attention to your words and deeds. It's not your turn to talk here. What qualifications do you have to judge this matter? Do you know how much we lost Konaha? Bang. Okay. Yi Feng's words made the audience quiet. Don't talk so much nonsense, isn't it that Kimu Shuamao destroyed the dark thread buried in Cheyenne village for 30 years? I don't think there's a need for dark lines, and it's not a problem. As soon as these words came out, the audience was in an uproar. Kimu Shuamao raised his head and looked at Yefeng in disbelief. He didn't expect Yefeng to defend himself like this. Naruto-sama, what do you mean by that? What is called not dark line is okay, do not dark line, what is the movement of Cheyenne village, we don't know. Yes, Naruto-sama, you are still too young, do you know how many people in Konaha will die once the village of Sunagakure takes advantage of our carelessness and starts a war? Naruto-sama, you can't favor Kikishuo Shigeru like this. Immediately someone objected. Fang gently knocked on the table, and the audience fell silent again. Don't be in a hurry. Don't darken the line, you don't have to worry about Cheyenne village suddenly starting a war and attacking us. It's very simple, if we capture Cheyenne village, we don't have to worry about anything. If they want war, we will give them war. Naruto-sama, think twice. Yes, Naruto-sama, think twice, you must not take the initiative to provoke war and turmoil. During the reign of the third generation of Hokage-sama, we in Konaha were peaceful, and even in the Second Ninja World War, we were the mainstay of Konaha and made good friends with the four major ninja villages. Why did the fourth generation of Hokage-sama ignite the war on the mainland as soon as you took office? Yi Kaide wondered, Konaha is so powerful, why is he afraid? It turned out that within the high level of Konaha, the main and faction were the mainstream. Even Kimu Shuamao, who was humble, said himself, Lord Naruto, you can't fight, we will be besieged by the four great ninja villages. Quote. Fang rolled his eyes, White Fang, you really lack emotional intelligence, I'm helping you. Ahem, don't say anything peaceful or unpeaceful, over the years, there have been no less than 100 frictions in various villages. Our Kami Shinobu of Konaha also died a lot. Just 3 years ago, Kato Upper Shinobu died from an enemy sneak attack, saying that it was 10 years of peace. In fact, over the years, there was no peace at all. Not long ago, Union Village still wanted to rob our nine-tailed pillar force candidate Uzumaki-ju Shinai. This is not a war. Our dignified Konaha, the first shinobi village, why did you guys come out? Do you dare to resist when others bully your head? The high level who strongly objected just now immediately said, Naruto-sama, that's not what I said, we don't instigate, it's just that there is no need to sacrifice shinobu and knock a ninja. Quote. Let's not talk about upper patience. Every big and small war, the most victims are those lower and middle shinobi. You see how many orphans we have in Konaha village, those are all orphans of war, we don't want this to happen again. Yes, Naruto-sama, we can't do this, if we strike first, we will inevitably be besieged by the four ninja villages, and we will be dragged into the quagmire of war. This is our experience and lesson. Yi Feng looked at the group of high-ranking people with a smile and said, then are you teaching me to do things now? Quote. Don't dare, Naruto-sama, but the matter of war must not be taken rashly. Even if you really want to start a war, you must think twice to ensure that nothing is lost. Yi Feng interrupted him and said, when the time is over, the time will pass, and it is a coward's idea to make sure that nothing is lost. Quote. Something is foolproof, Watergate. Bofeng Shuaman immediately said, 2. Quote. The 18 people in the dark department have arrived, right? Yes. Yi Feng looked at everyone present and said, everyone, just stay here for a day. Quote. Naruto-sama, what do you mean by that? Everyone looked at Yi Feng in panic. It's not interesting, the content of today's meeting is very important, within today, we will take Cheyenne village. So, please rest here and wait for our good news. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Take down Cheyenne village in one day. How is this possible? The dark line hidden in Sand Hidden Village for 3 years has drawn a map of Sand Hidden Village for Konaha's side, and it is all clear. It can be said that it is very simple for us to break into Cheyenne village. You are still too afraid of things. People who are afraid of things should not be in a high position. Yi Feng looked at Bofeng Shuaman and said, Watergate, you let the people in the dark parts surround here and don't let anyone go out, so as not to leak the news. Quote. Any of you, stay here quietly tonight, I will send someone to tell you the major families, you have meetings all night long, you don't have to worry. Remember, don't be a traitor to Konaha village and pass on news to the outside world, otherwise, don't blame me for being unkind. As soon as Yi Feng's words came out, he was murderous. Everyone present broke out in a cold sweat. Naruto-sama, what did you say, how could we do such a thing? Yes, Naruto-sama, we're just worried that your plan isn't thorough enough. Naruto-sama, you must think twice. Yi Feng waved his big hand and said, Okay, I'm already thoughtful enough. You look at the 30-year dark line, such a complete Cheyenne village area, isn't this enough? Quote. Don't say anything to you, my meaning has been decided. Himu Shuamao, Bofeng Shuaman, you two, follow me. Himu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman were stunned. Naruto-sama, just us. Yefeng smiled and said, enough. Quote. Himu Shuamao was so excited by Yi Feng's words that he said half kneeling, everything is at the command of Lord Hokage. Quote. Bofeng Shuaman also followed closely and said, everything is at the command of Lord Hokage. Quote. Let's go. Saying that, Yefeng turned around and walked out, and Himu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman quickly followed, leaving a high-level Konaha with a confused look. Naruto-sama, and he just left. Quote. So what do we do? Hey, I knew that being so young would kill ye. It's too late to stop it now, it's really a scourge. Many high-ranking people in Konaha are not optimistic about Night Maple. Of course, there are also those who are optimistic about the Night Maple. For example, Fugaku Uchiha. HMPH, you old men, greedy for life and afraid of death, have long been abandoned by the times, and when Lord Hokage returns, you will naturally have nothing to say. The Hemp Rope family immediately retorted. You Uchiha clan are competitive and aggressive, you know what is called strategy, what is called vertical and horizontal alliance. Quote ideographic comma. Still waiting for Yefeng to come back. Look at it then, we Konaha want to pay reparations or something, what losses there are, I will definitely impeach. Quote. Uchiha Fugaku snorted coldly and said, okay, when Naruto-sama returns victoriously, I will also tell Naruto-sama word for word if you people say today. Quote. The Hemp Rope patriarch snorted coldly and said, when did the Uchiha clan become the lackeys of Naruto-sama? Quote. You. The Hemp Rope family sneered, hoping that Uchiha Fugaku would make an angry move. In this way, even the dark part could not control the situation here. However, at this time, the people of the dark part suddenly jumped between the Hemp Rope family master and Uchiha Fugaku. Hemp Rope master, please don't stir up trouble. The Hemp Rope owner suddenly said dissatisfied, what did I provoke the incident? You. Before he finished speaking, these dark ninjas immediately took control of the Hemp Rope master. Please don't disturb the order here, everything will be discussed when Naruto-sama returns, everyone. Many high-ranking officials saw the dark department's move, and immediately said dissatisfied, Lord Hokage has just taken office, do you want to disobey the advice like this? Quote. That's right, Konaha is not Hokage's word. In this incident, our high level will definitely impeach the fourth generation of Hokage. At this time, a voice sounded behind everyone. Okay, don't argue. Everyone looked back and saw that it was an ape flying sun. 3 generations of adults. Naruto-sama, look at the 4th generation, if he does this, he will destroy us Konaha. Presumptuous. Ape flying sun scolded the man who had just spoken. Knight Kaide, it was only one night that you became the Hokage because you saved our Konaha and rebuilt our Konaha, and you forgot. Trust him, and since he said a day, give him a day of trust. Ape flying sun chopper is also very speechless, only to know this matter temporarily, can only save the scene. Who let Yefeng have already left with Bofeng Shui Gate and Himu Shuamao. However, it may not be impossible for these 3 people to strike together, and it may not be impossible to take Cheyenne village. On the border between the land of fire and the land of wind, the ninja camp of Sand Hidden Village, 3 black shadows swept by. The garrison ninja yawned, and suddenly his eyes widened. He wiped his eyes, thinking he was blinded. 3 shadows streaked by. At this time, Night Maple, Bofeng Shuaman and Himu Shuamao were already jumping continuously in the woods. It seems that the defense of Cheyenne village is very imprecise. Yi Kaide said while jumping on the branches. Himu Shuamao next to him said, yes, although it is said that the Second Ninja World War has passed, but now the friction and conflict are constant, and the Third Ninja World War is probably not far away. Quote. The real deployment of troops in Cheyenne village is not at the border, but in the village. After all, between the border and the village, there is a large desert, and it is too difficult to supply. Bofeng Shuaman frowned and said, can't the major ninja villages live in peace? Quote. Yi Feng smiled and said, peace is short-lived, unless reunification. Quote. Otherwise, you have your ninja way, I have my ninja way, who listens to whom? Bofeng Shuaman still shook his head helplessly. For the concept of Yi Feng's main battle, Bofeng Shuaman did not agree. But Kimu Shuamao has experienced more wars, and his eyes are shining. Can it really be unified? What even the great as the first generation could not do, can this young man under the age of 20 really be able to do it? Ye Feng smiled and said, I don't know, but if you don't give it a try, how can you know? Quote. Just an hour after Ye Feng and Kiki Shuamao, as well as the wave Feng Shui gate crossed the border between the land of fire and the land of wind, a ninja suddenly sneaked from the land of fire to the border. Ninja Shadow King of Sand Hidden Village. My lord, it is rumored that the fourth generation of Hokage Night Maple has infiltrated the land of wind with the Konaha White Fang banner Mushui Shigeru, as well as the new minister of Konoha's dark ministry, Wave Feng Shuaman. Quote. What? Shinobu Murakami, who was still dozing, suddenly stood up in fright and looked at the undercover ninja in front of him. What the hell is going on here? Master report, I heard that the fourth generation of Hokage Ye Feng temporarily set up to attack Cheyenne village. Murakami couldn't help but say in disbelief. How is this possible? Wait, you just said, when? Quote. Sir, an hour ago, Ye Feng was no longer in Konoha village. An hour, groove. Shinobu Murakami's eyes widened suddenly, thinking back to the three black shadows he seemed to have seen an hour ago, and suddenly his heart was cold. Why are you only here now? Quote. My lord, I'm sorry, the news over there in Konoha village is very deeply hidden, and this time, our dark thread has not been able to get the news out. Shinobu Murakami took a deep breath and said, okay, I know, you go back. Quote. Saying that, Shinobu of the Sand Hidden Village immediately went back to the Sand Hidden Village as quickly as possible. Great deal. Ye Feng is going to attack Cheyenne village. I hope it's not those three black shadows. At this time, Yi Feng, Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman braved the wind and sand, and had already walked through the vast desert and came to the border camp on the outskirts of Cheyenne village. With Yi Feng's current strength, this desert is difficult to defeat Yi Feng. After 1 hour of rushing, the three finally arrived outside Cheyenne village. This is Blitzkrieg. It's so fast that Cheyenne village doesn't even realize it. At this moment, the guards of Cheyenne village suddenly discovered the existence of Ye Feng and surrounded where they were. There are nearly 50 people. Now around Cheyenne village, there are more than 10,000 people. In Yi Feng's mind, the voice of the system suddenly sounded. Option 1. Sneak into Sand Hidden Village, assassinate the fourth generation of Wind Shadow, and plunge Sand Hidden Village into turmoil again. Reward, S-Class Character Card, 3 Wind Shadow. Option 2. Kill more than 1,000 people, fight violence with violence, kill the enemy to be afraid. Reward, S-Class Character Card, 1,000 Hands. Option 3. Kill into the Sand Village, convince people with force, make the Sand Hidden Village submit. Reward, 10 times the fusion speed of the power of the 6 paths. The god-level choice is here again. Ye Feng could see at a glance that option 2 and option 3 could be completed at the same time. Isn't it simple to kill more than 1,000 people? There are 50 people in front of you. Just kill 20 batches. Who are you guys? The leader was a Kami Shinobu, and his face was very serious. When the guards surrounded them, Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman felt very nervous. Yi Feng smiled slightly, and opened his mouth to answer. We, are the Shinigami from Konoha. Quote. As soon as the words fell, countless roots and vines suddenly surrounded them. The wind and sand were everywhere, and the ninja of the Sand Hidden Village in the distance did not see clearly what the situation was. There was no sound on Yi Feng's side. More than 50 corpses of ninjas from Sand Hidden Village are buried under the yellow sand. There is no shortage of upper and middle patients in it. Bofeng Shuaman swallowed his saliva, thinking back to the scene just now. Could he kill so many people so quickly? The answer is completely impossible. Kimu Shuamao said in a deep voice. Hokage-sama, shall we go from the front? Quote. Yi Feng walked forward faintly, leaving a sentence. Of course, it is to go to the front, kill them until they are afraid, kill them until they surrender. Quote. In the village of Cheyenne, the fourth generation of Feng Ying was half lying and half leaning on the ground, drinking wine with the high level of Cheyenne village. For the village of Cheyenne, the most popular is fine wine. This is also the reason why Konoha village was able to bury the dark thread for 30 years. Sake is the weakness of the village of Cheyenne. Tonight, it is a big day for Cheyenne Village, because the entire Cheyenne Village, starting from today, will truly become a monolith. The fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luosa pacified the village of Cheyenne that was in turmoil due to the disappearance of the third generation of Wind Shadow. Today is indeed worth celebrating. Congratulations Keisuke-sama. The others were overjoyed. Congratulations to Keisuke-sama. Quote. The fourth generation of Feng Ying smiled. They all said don't congratulate me, it's all everyone's credit. Quote. Then, he asked, how is Konaha doing? I heard that the new fourth generation Hokage Shinobu and is very young. Quote. Yes, Keisuke-sama, but everything has been normal on Konaha's side recently, and there has been no troop movement. After all, I just suffered from the attack of Uchiha Madara and my vitality was greatly damaged. The fourth generation of Wind Shadow nodded and said, that's it, we have to dispatch as soon as possible, tomorrow. Quote. Suddenly, the fourth generation of Wind Shadow asked again, when will Yi Kang arrive? Quote. Fourth generation Wind Shadow Lord, Yi Kang will arrive tomorrow. The fourth generation of Keisuke nodded. When she arrives, we will directly raid Konaha and catch them off guard. That night Maple heard that it was very strong, but we also have our reinforcements, and when the time comes, the third generation of Thunder Shadow will also go, because in Konaha village, there is also his son as a hostage. This time, we in the Sand Hidden Village will definitely be able to allow Konaha to compromise again, enter the Land of Fire, and obtain a large amount of fertile land. Quote. Keisuke-sama is wise. Lord Wind Shadow is mighty. Everyone raised their glasses. At this time, thousands of ninjas were setting out from Konaha. This is the arrangement of the ape flying sun. No matter what Ape Fairy Chopper thought, he felt that the three of Yefeng went to Cheyenne Village, which was really too contemptuous. Young people, it is good to have ambition, but to underestimate the enemy, you will learn a lesson. Ape Fei Richo felt that at this time, it was time for an experienced old man like him to make a move. This 1,000 ninjas appeared. Even if Yefeng was defeated, he could come back alive. The Hokage of Konaha village must not die in other shinobi villages, otherwise, there will be no face. However, Sarutobi did not expect that in addition to Cheyenne village, Union village and Iwayne village actually had a fierce eye on Konaha. In particular, the three generations of Thunder Cage crossed the border again and sneaked up on Konaha. At this time, Sarutobi sent 1,000 important troops from Konaha. At this time, the guards on the outskirts of Cheyenne village suddenly felt that something was wrong. How do you feel that there are fewer people? There are tens of thousands of ninjas in the village of Suna, ready to play at any time. In the periphery of the guards, there are more than 500 people, and if there is any abnormality, you can immediately notify the ninja inside. However, there are fewer and fewer guards on the periphery. The surviving guards also began to sense that something was wrong. It's a little weird. What about people? I don't know, is there any new task? Impossible, even if there is a new mission, it will not be like this. Is there an enemy? Before he finished speaking, countless roots and vines drilled out of the ground, and suddenly dragged the 5-person team into the quicksand without any warning. Yi Feng suddenly found that his wooden dun is a little strong, and he can also be mu dun in the sand. Sure enough, it was the ninja god Senjukuma. Just like the Senju Shuima, the strongest water escape, where there is no water, it can also be watered. In this way, Yefeng took Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shui Gate and actually entered Cheyenne village. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman were stunned. Is that okay? Bofeng Shuaman looked at Yi Feng's back, and secretly thought in his heart, this may be the difference between himself and Yi Feng, right? Yokai dares to think about things he doesn't dare to think about and do things he doesn't dare to do, so he can become a Hokage. In this way, the wave Feng Shui Gate, unconsciously, was taken crooked by Yi Feng. Moreover, Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman, along the way, saw that the ninjas of Cheyenne village were all toasting and drinking, completely ignoring the three of them. That's too light on the enemy, right? In fact, even Yefeng himself was a little surprised. Inside the sand-hidden village, it is estimated that there are more than 10,000 ninjas. All of them were drinking in a circle, completely ignoring themselves. Yefeng felt it for a moment and immediately found the place where the fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luosa was located. It's inside the big mud house in the middle. There is the place with the most chakra, and it seems that there is also a tailed orc pillar force in it. The tailed beast of Cheyenne village should be a crane. At this time, Iailuo has not yet been born, that Ren Zuli, if memory serves, is a monk. It seems that Cheyenne village is still very confident in itself. As soon as he finished speaking, Yefeng was discovered. Hey, you three, yes. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman, while looking at the night maple. My lord, Yefeng nodded and said, let's kill. Quote. As soon as the words fell, the person who had just spoken directly hung up. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman shot at the same time. Enemy attack. Not good. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. The harsh shout instantly resounded throughout the entire Cheyenne village. All of a sudden, the whole Cheyenne village fire. A terrifying momentum spread instantly. Rumble. The whole village of Cheyenne exploded. Mu Dun, birth of the tree realm. With Cheyenne village as the center, the ground exploded instantly. It was originally a desert, but countless roots and vines were drilled out in an instant, turning into a tropical forest. The desert turns into a forest, and the chakra consumption of the night maple is directly doubled. But the thousand-hand pillar was originally a big bucket among ninjas. Even if chakra consumption doubled, it was nothing at all for Yikaide, who had a character card between the thousand-hand pillars and added a yin seal. All the houses made of sand are overturned in an instant. The ninjas who were drinking had not yet reacted, and they were all bound by tree roots and vines. A few Shangnin, who escaped from the sky, were chased and killed by Konaha's white fangs and golden flashes, and blood splattered on the spot. Although Hokkage's Shuaman didn't think it was right to kill, he showed no mercy when the battle really began, which was the root ninja he thought he wanted to be a ninja. Flying Thunder God Technique. Shuriken Shadow Doppelganger Art. Konaha Ryu Assassination Technique. Blood splattered. In an instant, those Shangnin who fled in Cheyenne village were mended by Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman one by one, and died tragically on the spot. All the bound Naka ninja, lower ninja, trembled with fear. Where did these three people come from? The devil? Lord Cage, come and save us. Suddenly, there was a roar. Who are you? Luo Sha and the others finally appeared. Standing beside Luo Sha are Chio and Kai Laozang, and Ichigo Moritsuru Pillar Power to share blessings. At this time, the eyes of the fourth generation of Wind Shadows were full of anger. One after another, Kamunobi died in front of him. A dark part next to him was stunned for a moment, and quickly said, Lord Cage, he is Yi Fang, the fourth generation of Hokage. 4 generations of Hokage. Night Fang, the fourth generation of Wind Shadow. Luo Sha was furious. You, as the fourth generation of Hokage, why did you kill the people of our Cheyenne village? Quote. Yi Feng looked at the fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luo lightly and said, I am the fourth generation Hokage Night Fang, and the purpose of coming here is naturally to make your sand-hidden village submit to our Konaha village. Quote. Saying that, Yefeng put down this batch of lower and middle shinobi. With the number of 1,000 people, Yefeng has long killed enough. Are you Konaha going to war? Aren't you afraid that the battle line will be stretched too long, but let Konaha village itself suffer? Quote. At this time, Bofeng Shuaman and Kimu Shuamao also fell beside Yi Feng. Yi Feng said lightly, don't talk so much nonsense, surrender or die, give you 2 choices. Quote. The fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luo Sha's eyelids jumped. He saw the birth of the tree realm of the night maple, and he knew the horror of the night maple. But he had just become a Wind Shadow, and it was absolutely impossible to say any words of surrender from his mouth, otherwise, he would be torn apart by the entire sand-hidden village in an instant. Thinking of this, Luo Sha immediately said loudly, everyone up, take him down for me. Quote. Yi Feng smiled coldly. Since this is the case, then go and die. Quote. Mud and Wood Dragon Art. Luo Sha's face changed, and he quickly shouted. Tudin Tuliu Wall. Suddenly, in front of everyone, a huge stone wall was erected in an attempt to stop Yi Feng's wooden dragon. However, this earth flow wall was as thin as white paper, and the wooden dragon directly drilled over and directly bit the fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luasha. This speed is too fast, no one expected it. It's just that in a fight, the fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luasha directly lost. Even Luo Sha didn't expect that he would lose before he warmed up. Ah! Luo Sha screamed, was directly bitten by the wooden dragon, and returned to Yi Feng's face. The current fourth generation of Wind Shadow Luosa is bound all over the body, absorbed by chakra, and the whole body is weak, unable to resist at all. Only then did Luo Sha feel the horror of Yi Feng. It looks mediocre, and it is impossible to stop it at all with a thunderous blow. Abominable. Lord Rasha, Kazekage-sama. All the ninjas of Sand Hidden Village saw this scene from a distance and were furious. Lord Feng Ying, unexpectedly like a dog, was suspended in the air. Several elite Shangnin rushed over, but they were instantly solved by Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman. The fourth generation of Wind Shadow has been arrested, unable to fight again. Do you still want to send it to death? The sound of the night maple resounded throughout the night sky. After hearing this, countless ninjas in Sand Hidden Village suddenly became desperate. That's 4 generations of Wind Shadows. At this time, Cheyenne Village was already shaken by the arrest of the 4th generation of Wind Shadow, and its morale had plummeted, and it was in chaos. Yi Feng, if this revenge is not rewarded, I will not die blind. The 4th generation of Wind Shadow was grief-stricken, extremely angry, directly spewed out a mouthful of blood, and fainted. Chio and Kaizo looked at the 4 generations of Kazekage like this, and their hearts were sad and angry. That's 4 generations of Wind Shadows. One of the strongest in Cheyenne Village. The result was directly seconds by Yi Feng. Can't hold out for 1 second. Everyone was shocked. Chio took a deep breath and said, divide the blessings. Quote. Fenfu was stunned for a moment and said, Chio-sama, but Kazekage-sama, he. Chio gritted his teeth and said, Kazekage-sama, die for the sake of Sand Hidden Village, die where you want, go on. Quote. We, the Sand Hidden Village, will never be able to submit to Konaha. Hai Laozang next to him said, Shuhei, only you can deal with him at this time. Quote. But the power of the Shuhei is too difficult to control, and once the Shuhei is released, it is likely that even the village will be destroyed. Blessed, can't hesitate any longer, the priority now is to solve this guy. Only let Shuhei come out first. Quote. Fenfu couldn't help but fall into hesitation, and finally, he sighed, Aikyo Shuhei, come out. Yi Feng was slightly stunned, and immediately laughed. From this person's body he had already detected the breath of the tailed beast. Ichigo Crane guards Pillar Force. Fenfu said in a deep voice. 4th generation Hokage, please leave Cheyenne Village, otherwise, I will kill you even if I sacrifice myself. Quote. After saying these words, the monk Fenfu's figure suddenly skyrocketed, and he instantly turned into a huge tanuki. Aikyo Moritsuru. Yokade's first reaction when he looked at Ichigo Moritsuru was, when he goes back to Konaha village, he must always bring some souvenirs and bring some meeting gifts, right? Otherwise, seal a crane into a psychic beast and capture it back in Konaha as a village-tailed beast. The patriarch of the Vortex clan, Uzumaki Ashina, happens to know all kinds of sealing formations. Yi Feng couldn't help but smile as he saw this huge mountain-like tanuki standing in front of him, looking down on him from above. What a fat tanuki. At this time, Ichigo Moritsuru had completely come out, and he couldn't help but be stunned when he heard Yokade's words, Konaha ninja, what do you mean by this? Dare to mock the great Shuhei. Quote. Great, isn't it just a tailed beast? Quote. At this time, Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman were very nervous, because the pressure on them by Ichigo Shozuru was too great. Naruto-sama. They deliberately looked back to see if there was a way back. In case Yi Kaide was defeated by the Aikyo Crane, they could at least retreat. However, the current Cheyenne village has been surrounded by groups. Of course, Yi Feng smiled and said, Shuamao, Watergate, don't worry, it's okay, I'm here. Quote. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman, although they both know that Yi Feng's strength is super strong, but now they are surrounded by groups, and they are still worried. What if chakra is not enough? Seeing Yi Feng so calm, Aikyo immediately became angry. HMPH, I smell the nasty aura on you. Konaha ninja, you are the same breath as that Han. I'm going to kill you. Quote. Ichigo Moritsuru was deeply impressed by the wooden aura on Yi Kaide's body, and it was a Han from Konaha who captured all 9 of their tailed beasts, bought them as commodities, and distributed them to various ninja villages. Although Aikyo Shozuru later lived quite comfortably in Cheyenne village, and the communication between Renjuli and himself was okay, Aikyo Moritsuru has always hated that Han. Now, Yefeng appeared in front of Ikkyo Shozuru, which naturally caused Ikkyo Shuzuru's hatred. Tailed Beast Jade. Ichigo Shozuru roared angrily, and a terrifying black chakra ball instantly condensed in his mouth. In a short moment, the tailed beast Jade burst out. The breath of destruction distorted the air. With such power, I am afraid that it can destroy the entire Cheyenne village. However, Yi Feng made a move Mu-Dun list ranking technique. Rumble. With a loud bang, a wooden shield shaped like a fang grimace suddenly erected, blocking the tailed beast Jade of a crane. Ichigo Moritsuru saw this wooden shield shaped like a fang grimace appear, and his eyelids jumped. It's really the same breath as that Hanhan, exactly the same Mudden ninjutsu. In that case, I'm welcome. Mu-Dun, the art of the wooden man. Quote. Facing the small Ikkyo Shozuru, using the art of the wooden man, it can be solved. A huge wooden man came out of the dirt, and there were hundreds of wooden hands behind him. Luo Sha, who was caught, his eyes widened, and at the same time, Chiyo and Kaizo were all wide-eyed. Chiyo and Kaizo are people from the Warring States period, and their memories of the huge wooden man in front of them are too familiar. Between the 1,000-hand pillars. Oh, my god. Chiyo and Kaizo had heard that Night Maple was the bloodline inheritance between the 1,000-hand pillars, so Night Maple became the 4th generation of Hokage in a short period of time with his terrifying military merits. Among them, it is also related to the fact that the ape-flying Sun Chop is already old. Just like Chiyo and Kaizo, he is just an elder who pushes Luo Sha to the position of Wind Shadow. Chiyo and Kaizo originally thought in their hearts how strong Yefeng was, that is, they were not much different from their strength. But the moment they saw the giant wooden figure appear, the faces of the two of them changed, recalling the horror that shrouded the 4 great ninja village. If it weren't for the Battle of the End Valley, the Senju Pillar would also be seriously injured, and it is likely that the entire ninja world would be unified by that terrifying man. Now, Night Maple is the same momentum. Ikkyo Shozuru was also dumbfounded, this wooden man, impressed. At that time, there was no personal action between the 1,000-hand pillars, it was this wooden man who caught himself. Ah! The 4th generation of Wind Shadow Luosa looked at the huge wooden man and was also stunned. 100 meters high, all have one floor, right? Such a huge wooden man, Ikkyo Moritsuru in front of him, like a child. Crawl obediently for me. A giant hand of the huge wooden man stretched out, covering the sky and shaking the world. This terrifying aura made the one-tailed crane in front of him suddenly frightened, and the hair all over his body couldn't help but stand up. Chiyo and Kaizo, as well as the 4 generations of Wind Shadow Rasha, were also frightened that their hearts stopped and they didn't dare to move. Tailed Beast Jade. A terrifying black chakra ball instantly condensed from the mouth of Ichigo Moritsuru. In a short moment, the tailed beast Jade burst out. The breath of destruction distorted the air. However, the hands of the huge wooden man were covered like a 5-finger mountain. The tailed beast Jade exploded in the big hand of the huge wooden man, directly blowing the big hand of the huge wooden man. However, at this time, the other hand of the huge wooden man grabbed it. Nope! Ichigo Shozuru shouted in horror as he saw that his big hand was about to cover its eyes. Rumble. A bang. It's like an earthquake. The smoke and dust quickly dispersed, and the crane did not dare to speak, shivering, and was held down by a big hand. It's like being pressed under the 5-finger mountain. Complete crushing. For everyone in Cheyenne village, a one-tailed crane is equivalent to a threatening weapon in every ninja village, and everyone has 1 or 2 tailed beasts. Now, this big threatening weapon was slapped down by the young man in front of him. This is not a weapon, it turns into a toy. Let go of me, you brat. Yefeng looked at Ichigo Shozuru curiously and said, Hey, the IQ of this puppy of yours seems to be a little higher than that of her way, shouldn't it be that the more tails, the smarter, right? Quote. Ichigo Shozuru suddenly roared angrily. UTM only have more tails, the better, my Shuhei-sama is the smartest. Quote. What's your name? Yi Feng smashed Ichigo Shozuru into the deep pit with one punch. Ikkyo Moritsuru was silent. This punch smashed a tail of Shuhei a little confused. You dog is a talker, I said you said too. Bang. 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 Yi Kaide held down the head of a crane and smashed it 3 times in a row, and finally smashed into the ground. Ichigo Moritsuru was provoked, and did not dare to pull out his head at all. It said in an urn. I was wrong, big brother, I am a tanuki, not a dog. Whether it's a cat or a dog, you give me obedience. Everyone present was stunned. The strength of Yefeng was completely beyond their imagination. Powerful as a tailed crane, actually subdued 2 or 3 times. Himu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman both glanced at each other, and they were completely convinced by Yefeng in their hearts. Originally, I was thinking about whether to leave a way back, but now it seems that I am sitting in a well and watching the sky, and I don't know how high the sky is. At this time, everyone in Cheyenne village was also shocked by Yifeng's powerful strength, and looking at Yifeng's eyes, they were all incredible. How is it possible? This guy was able to subdue Aikyo at once, it's terrifying. Quote. Elder Chio, Elder Kaizang, what now? A ninja on the side said worriedly. Chio and Kaizo sighed. They knew very well that if the boy in front of them really couldn't fight him off, even if Ichigo Shozuru couldn't fight him off, then it would be in vain for them to make a move. The huge wooden man, I heard that it is not really a big move. Their Cheyenne village was no longer able to match. Yifeng ignored the others and directly used the Quan into the hanging hand, and the word, Za, appeared in the palm of his hand and injected it into chakra, creating a wooden cuboid to bind a tailed crane. Nope. Aikyo Shuzuru's eyes widened, and suddenly he lost his voice and fell into a deep sleep. Everyone in Cheyenne village widened their eyes in horror. Chio still walked out trembling. 4 generations of Hokage, what the hell do you want to do? Yorikai looked up at Chio and said, as I said, your sand-hidden village submits to our Konaha village. Quote. Chio shook his head and said, 4 generations of Hokage, this is impossible, even if our sand-hidden village wants to agree, the country of wind will not agree, this is not a matter for our 2 villages but a matter for 2 great powers. Quote. Yefeng smiled and ignored Chio, but used the sealing technique to cut most of the Ichigo Morizuru and directly seal it into a psychic beast. This is a forbidden technique belonging to the Uzumaki family, which was lost after the name of the Uzumaki Ashi, the tailed beast psychic beast. Nope. Ichigo Shozuru screamed miserably, and was directly sealed by Yifeng. The remaining small part, crane chakra, returned to the body of the old monk. Chio shivered and said, 4 generations of Hokage, what the hell are you going to do? Quote. It's nothing, it's just that I sealed a tailed crane, don't worry, this old monk I still keep a little tailed beast chakra for him, I can't die. Saying that, Yefeng looked at the group of ninjas in Sand-Hidden Village and said, now, let's talk about it, do you want to die, or surrender? Quote. Everyone in Cheyenne Village had lost their desire to fight at this time. Don't look at the tens of thousands of people in Cheyenne Village, but they know very well that they are like leeks in front of Yifeng, and they can cut them if they want. No one wants to be the one who goes to die first. The timid among them were even ready to flee the village of Cheyenne. And Chio and Kairazo, as well as those high-level elders, have also lost the strength to resist. They were shocked by Yifeng's terrifying strength of easily sealing a crane. Chio shivered and said, Lord 4 Hokage, even if we are willing to submit, it is impossible for the country of wind to make us submit. Quote. Yefeng said lightly, you mean the daimyo of the land of wind? Quote. Yes, this will start a war between the 2 great powers, and if you do this, it will anger our daimyo. Anger the daimyo. Take me to meet the daimyo of your wind country. Quote. You, what do you want to do? Yefeng smiled. What for? Let your daimyo submit to our Konaha village. Quote. This can't be. Doing so will only anger the daimyo. Chio, Kyozo, and the other elders of the Cheyenne village drank loudly. But they were swept away by Yifeng's eyes, and immediately became silent again. Give you 2 a choice, take me to the daimyo, or die here. Yefeng said lightly. We will never. An elder opened his mouth angrily, and before he could say anything, countless roots and vines drilled out under his feet. Swish. Instantly strangled. Everyone's hearts were about to pop out all of a sudden. The boy in front of him was like a demon. Yifeng looked at everyone with a smile and said, I don't have much patience. Quote. Bofeng Shuaman was watching from the side, the corners of his mouth twitched. How did Yifeng suddenly become so fierce? It was completely different from before. In fact, Yefeng is slowly adapting to his strength and identity. According to the strength of Yefeng now, he is already the number 1 in the ninja world. You don't need to think too much about what other people say. If you don't obey, then kill. Especially for people in other shinobi villages. Treat friends like spring. Treat enemies as cruelly and ruthlessly as a harsh winter, this is what Ye Feng thinks now. If the village submits to itself, then it can barely be considered a friend. Others wanted to speak, but were stopped by a look from Chio. Don't say it, take you there. Quote. Elder Chio. Ye Feng smiled slightly, and followed Shangnan, who led the way, and Bofeng Shuaman and Kimu Shuamao followed closely behind. Steady as a banner and a wooden sushi, he couldn't help but sigh, let's go to see the daimyo like this. Quote. Ye Feng smiled and said, what is a daimyo, it's just a name. Quote. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman heard Ye Feng's words, they were silent, carefully pondering Ye Feng's words, and suddenly they were very impressed. At this time, the two of them admired Ye Feng even more. At a young age, he knows much more than himself. Before, Kimu Shuamao thought about enduring all this himself, but he didn't expect that Ye Feng would take him to fight Cheyenne village. After Ye Feng and the others left, several elders couldn't help but sigh in frustration. It's over, the fourth generation of Hokage is so powerful, now there is no one in our ninja world to control it. The only possibility is that our 4 great ninja villages have joined forces. Chio shook his head and said, join forces. Have you forgotten how Senjukuma founded Konaha village? Quote. He is as powerful as the 1,000-hand pillar, just a wooden man's art, he solved the Ichigo Shuhei, and immortal law Mudan has not yet used it. As soon as Chio's words came out, a despair arose in everyone's hearts. Hai Laozang shook his head helplessly, looked at Ye Feng's distant direction with gloomy eyes and said, with his current strength, I am afraid that the siege of the 4 major ninja villages will not necessarily lose, we must plan for the long term and find a suitable opportunity. Quote. Even if he is invincible alone, not all the people around him are invincible, and there are always weaknesses. Back then, for the sake of Konaha village, it was acceptable that the 5 great ninja villages could live in peace. Then now, this Night Maple also has his weaknesses, and the weaknesses are not on him, but on the bodies of his loved ones around him. At this time, Ye Feng had already taken the Flagwood Shuamao and the Wave Wind Water Gate to find the city where the daimyo of the Country of Wind was located, the City of the Wind. Ye Feng looked at the towering city wall, people came and went, there were merchants, samurai, and commoners, thriving. Shinobu Murakami took Yokade and walked to the city gate, and was immediately blocked by the samurai at the gate. Ninja of Sand Hidden Village, what's going on? Even if it was Shengshan who led the way, the tone of the samurai at the door was still very unpolite. After all, in the eyes of the samurai of the City of the Wind, they are the orthodox army, and the ninjas of the Sand Hidden Village are just killers raised by the daimyo, and in terms of status, they are higher samurai. Murakami Shinobu said in a deep voice, this is the 4th generation of Hokage of Konaha village in the Land of Fire, and he wants to see the daimyo of the Land of Wind. Quote. The 4th generation of Hokage from Konaha village in the Land of Fire. The samurai looked at Ye Feng so young, and immediately said with disdain, where are the documents? Quote. The 4th generation of Hokage he was temporary, so he came and did not have paperwork. What can I see without paperwork? Did you shinobi village burn out your brains? Is our daimyo a casual cat or dog to see? Quote. As soon as the words fell, Kimu Shuamao behind Ye Feng directly struck, and Kuwu was on the neck of the samurai. Get on your knees and apologize to our Hokage-sama. The samurai looked at the kunai against his neck in horror, and did not dare to move. Immediately, hundreds of samurai rushed up, and at the same time, thousands of samurai suddenly appeared on the city wall, raising their bows and arrows and facing Ye Feng. Passing merchants and civilians immediately scattered in fear. Even Shinobu Murakami, who led the way, turned pale with fright and said tremblingly, 4th generation Hokage-sama, don't mess around. Quote. At this time, the samurai leader came up with a proud look and said, you put down your weapons and tie your hands, otherwise, there is no amnesty for killing. Quote. Kimu Shuamao ignored the others at this time, and he looked back at Ye Feng. Ye Feng said lightly, in that case, kill. Quote. As soon as the words fell, Kimu Shuamao's bitterness directly pierced the neck of the samurai. The samurai covered his neck, stared at Kikishuo Shigeru with a look of horror and disbelief, and fell directly. And the thousands of samurai on the field all widened their eyes and looked at the 3 of Ye Feng in disbelief. Very good. Give it to me. The samurai leader snorted coldly, rushed up first, took a long sword, and rushed up. However, a bitterness passed by him, and suddenly, the figure of Fang Shuaman appeared behind him. A spiral pill directly smashed the samurai leader to the ground. Burst. With just one move, the samurai leader was taken down by the wave feng shui gate. Everyone's eyes widened. This samurai leader, but one of the top experts in the Wind City, can also condense chakra, was actually solved by this golden retriever boy's move. Give me. At this time, on the city wall, thousands of samurai simultaneously pulled their bows and arrows. Nope. Murakami Shinobu was so frightened that his legs went limp. At this moment, Yi Feng changed into immortal mode in a second, and pressed his hands on the ground. Immortal Law Mu Dun True Thousands of Hands. Yi Feng is now addicted to using this strongest ninjutsu between the 1,000-hand pillars, and likes to crush his opponent directly from the momentum. I saw a huge Buddha head appear under Yi Feng's feet, and immediately after, a 1,000-handed giant Buddha with thousands of arms behind him rumbled in front of everyone in the city. Groove. Sand Yin Village, who was originally standing behind Yi Feng, was startled, watching the ground shatter and the land collapse, reacted very quickly, and hurriedly retreated. But he reacted quickly, and he was not as fast as the appearance of the real 1,000 Hands, and in the middle of the jump, he was rubbed by the corner of the rising 1,000 Hands Buddha. Instantly, a large mouthful of blood spewed out and flew out upside down. At the same time, Kimu Shuamao and Fang Shuaman, with their own instantaneous techniques, barely dodged the disaster that appeared in Zhen Qian's hands. The samurai leader who had just been beaten had just stood up, and was shocked so that he sat on the ground, looking up at the 1,000-handed giant Buddha in front of him, which was several times taller than the city and towering into the clouds. What is this? The samurai who were already full of bows and arrows above the city, their eyes widened, and the bows and arrows in their hands were directly unstable, and they fell to the ground, looking up at the 1,000-handed Buddha high above, and the fishmeal above the head of the Buddha. The highest point of the City of Wind is about 20 meters, and the giant Buddha in front of you is more than 10 times the highest point. At this time, the Daimyo of the Country of Wind was in the center of the City of Wind, drinking wine in the Daimyo's mansion, and behind him, stood 2 imposing samurai. Suddenly, there was a loud rumbling noise outside. The Daimyo of the Land of Wind turned his head and looked at it, so frightened that the wine glass in his hand fell to the ground. Bang! So, what is that? The 2 samurai behind him looked strangely towards the side of the Daimyo of the Wind Country, stunned, their hair stood on end, and a cold breath rushed directly up from the tail keel. I saw a towering 1,000-handed Buddha standing outside the city gate, at least 30 meters high. The city gate is like a small balustrade in front of this big Buddha. As soon as the big Buddha went down, the city gate collapsed directly. What is this? The Daimyo of the Land of Wind was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? The samurai beside him were also dumbfounded. What the hell is this? They had never seen such a huge great Buddha with 1,000 hands. On the side of Cheyenne village, everyone was dumbfounded when they saw the appearance of Zhen Qian's hands. Only when they looked closer, they realized how terrifying Ye Feng really was. If it is not compared with the city wall, they will not find that the thousands of hands are so huge and terrifying. Only by contrast, there is harm. The city of the Land of Wind, which the ninjas of Sand Hidden Village felt was indestructible, was as thin as white paper in front of Zhen Qian's hands. Chio looked at Umi Laozang and said, "I'll go over and take a look, you're sitting here." Quote. Hai Laozang nodded, feeling very uneasy. No, if Yokade really made the daimyo of the Land of Wind submit, Sunahide village would henceforth be a subordinate shinobi village of Konaha village. This is too difficult for tens of thousands of ninjas to accept. The civilians and merchants of the City of Wind saw the towering great Buddha with 1,000 hands and fled in fright. And the samurai rushed to the city. Among them, the strongest sword Hao looked up at Yi Feng, who was high above, and said, "Who is your excellency, and why did you come to the Land of Wind to make trouble?" Quote. Yi Feng said lightly, "It's not that I want to make trouble, it's that you guarding the door won't let us in, so let your Wind Country daimyo come out." Quote. Presumptuous. Bang. With a loud noise, the samurai who had just spoken had not finished speaking, and was directly slapped into blood mud by Yi Feng's real thousands of hands. Not only this samurai, but also the samurai around him, suffered. The samurai of the Land of Wind were suddenly startled and hurriedly retreated. Even Jian Hao, who had just spoken, couldn't help but tremble in front of Yi Fang. This is a biological instinct to fear an existence stronger than itself, and escape. At this time, there was a noisy sound from behind. The daimyo of the Wind Country was accompanied by the samurai beside him at this time, and walked over. The closer he got to the city gate, the more he felt terrified. This 1,000-hand Buddha in front of me is really too big. Who is your excellency? The other samurai also surrounded the daimyo of the Land of Wind, watching Yokai warily. Another said, Daimyo-sama, why did you come to such a dangerous place? Stand back. Quote. The daimyo of the Land of Wind shook his head and said, Your Excellency, don't you come down and talk. Quote. Yefeng looked at the daimyo of the Country of Wind, but he didn't expect him to be so atmospheric, and he was indeed a daimyo. Although he has no strength, he has subdued so many samurai with his own bloodline and personality charm. Bang! With a loud bang, Zhen Qian's hands began to collapse, and the night maple fell. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman were behind them, vigilantly observing the surroundings. And the samurai on the side of the Country of Wind stared at the three of Yefeng with a vigilant face. What are you? A samurai with his hand on his sword shouted. Haka's Mizuman stood up and said, We are from Konaha, and this is our 4th generation Hokage-sama. Quote. 4 generations of Hokage. The daimyo's heart couldn't help but jump. So young. It seems that he is a hero in a troubled world. 4 generations of Hokage, how to call it? The daimyo of the Land of Wind said very respectfully. My name is Yi Fang, and I came here to discuss something with you. Saying that, an endless coercion erupted from Yi Fang's body, and these people around couldn't help but tremble. So powerful, it's terrifying. The surrounding samurai pulled out their long knives and slashed at Yi Fang. The sword light was dazzling, fast as lightning. However, the speed of the night maple was faster, and the roots drilled out from the samurai's feet directly tied the samurai's feet. The samurai who took out the sword, the whole person fell to the ground. Bang! The teeth are about to fall out. The others immediately looked at Yefeng with horror on their faces. This is a ninja, and a very scary ninja. However, in the next second, the strongest Jian Hao present still made a move. However, the figures of Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman suddenly appeared behind that Jian Hao, and 2 kunai were added to Jian Hao's neck. This sword Hao is just the strength of the elite upper patience. In front of 2 powerhouses who are close to the shadow level, or even already a shadow level, it is not worth mentioning at all. The daimyo's face was suddenly covered with cold sweat, even the strongest sword master in the Wind Country. In front of these 3 people, it was simply not enough to see awe. The scene instantly froze. The hearts of everyone in the Wind Country couldn't help but tremble. These 3 people were too strong. Especially just now, no one can keep up with the speed of these 2 people. These samurai were also very ashamed, feeling a hot and embarrassing on their faces. The daimyo sighed when he saw that these people were not opponents at all. 4 generations of Hokage, please hear, if there is anything, we can talk, there is no need to use force. Yi Feng smiled and said, This is very good. Quote. Soon, Yokai was brought by the daimyo to the daimyo mansion in the middle of the windy city. Along the way, those frightened merchants and commoners were all looking at Yi Feng, who was talking with the daimyo, and wondered what the identity of this young man was. Even the daimyo-sama seemed to be very respectful to him. Could it be the son of the daimyo of which great power? It doesn't make sense. Even if it is the son of other daimyo, the daimyo-sama will not be so polite, right? Everyone was very curious. Entering the daimyo mansion, the daimyo took the initiative to say, You guys wait outside. Quote. Daimyo, we can't go. A samurai shouted. Konaha also looked at the daimyo. The daimyo shook his head and said, No need, the 4th generation of Hokage is here to talk about things, not to kill people, you guys go out. Quote. The daimyo thought to himself, Even if you are here, this 4th generation Hokage, if you want to kill yourself, it will be easy. The real thousands of hands just now have completely eliminated the idea of resistance of the daimyo of the Wind Country. Therefore, these samurai could only close the door and leave helplessly. And Bofeng Shui Gate and Kimu Shuamao also guarded outside. The 2 of them and the samurai Janao, you look at me, I look at you. Until now, Bofeng Shuaman felt amazing. Yefeng really took himself and Kimu Shuamao's predecessors to fight Cheyenne village, and now he is even sitting with the daimyo of the country of wind. It was something he never thought about. When only Yefeng and daimyo were left in the room, Yefeng smiled slightly and sat down. The daimyo of the land of wind also looked at Hokage very curiously. There is such a powerful ninja who single-handedly broke into the enemy's base camp. It was still the upper shinobu of Sand Hidden Village who led the way. Doesn't that mean that the Cheyenne village has been defeated? It's incredible to sit and talk to yourself like this now. Tea, please, the daimyo said respectfully. Your Excellency, this is our special sand tea of the land of winds. Quote. Yefeng took a sip, nodded and said, not bad. Quote. After the two chatted for a while, the daimyo asked, I don't know Your Excellency Hokage, what are your thoughts on coming here this time? Quote. The daimyo pretended to be calm, but the slightly trembling hand undoubtedly betrayed his mood at this time. Yefeng said lightly, well, the daimyo of the country of wind, my idea is very simple, that is, to ask the country of wind to allow the village of Sand Hidden and return to Konaha village. Quote. What, you say, you want me to allow the village of Sunagakure to return to Konaha village? Quote. Yefeng nodded. Yes, knowing the time is Junji. I trust you to make the right choice. Quote. The daimyo of the wind country sweated secretly, and said with a deep groan, in this way, is it possible that you Konaha will become to protect the security of our wind country? Quote. Your Excellency Ye Kaide, I don't have any disrespect, can you Konaha village manage it so far? Yefeng smiled and said, I just asked Sand Hidden village to submit to our Konaha village and become our Konaha's subordinate village, but the power in charge is all on the side of Sand Hidden village. Quote. To be honest, our Konaha village just wants to let the Sand Hidden village not sneak up on us, and our Konaha village side will only arrange a small number of people here, which will not affect the task of the Sand Hidden village to protect the land of wind. When the daimyo of the wind country heard Ye Kaide's words, he thought for a while, nodded and said, I allow this, but Your Excellency Ye Kaide, let me be honest, now our permission of the wind country, for the Sand Hidden village, is just a passing scene, just like your fourth generation of Hokage in place, saying that the country of fire allows, not allowed, as long as you get the consent of Konaha village or the fourth generation of Hokage. Quote. We, the daimyo of the wind country, now have so much power to allow it, but Your Excellency Ye Kaide, since you have come here, you have personally come to ask, and we, the wind country rights, agree to your request and allow the Sand Hidden village to return to Konaha village. The daimyo of the land of wind thought to himself, if he doesn't agree, I'm afraid that the country of wind will change its name today. Knowing the time affairs for Junji, this Night Maple Excellency is still a cultural person, this sentence, how wonderful. Yefeng didn't expect him to agree so happily, it seems that this daimyo still cares more about his life. Also, if there is no life, it is useless to say otherwise. When Hokage walked out of the land of wind with the agreement of consent to the submission of the daimyo of the land of wind in his hand, Shinobu Murakami, who led the way, was shocked. The daimyo of the land of wind actually gave in. Yefeng handed the agreement agreeing to return to Chimu Shuamao and said, you go and talk to the Cheyenne village, we reserve the power of their high-level supervisor of the Cheyenne village, and the only request of our Konaha village is to set up a department called the Konaha Branch Library as a department to supervise the Cheyenne village. Quote. In this way, we in Konaha village don't have to worry about the dark line that has been buried for 30 years, and we will be the bright line in the future. Whatever the Sand Hidden village wants to do, it can't bypass our Konaha village. Quote. Then, let that old gentleman's tavern reopen in Cheyenne village, after all, the ninjas of Cheyenne village like to drink the old gentleman's brewing, I think he has been in Cheyenne village for so many years, and he is willing to stay in Cheyenne village. Kiki Shuamao nodded fiercely and said, thank you Naruto-sama. Quote. He knew very well that Yefeng was giving the credit for this negotiation to himself. In this way, Konaha's side has nothing to say about the mistake he made last time. Kimu Shuamao was very moved in his heart, and from this moment on, he decided to be absolutely loyal to Yefeng in the future. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman were the first to go to Cheyenne village, while Yefeng slowly enjoyed the scenery along the way. Suddenly, there was a scorching fluctuation in the air. An ever-enlarged scorching fireball suddenly slammed behind Yefeng. Yefeng seemed to be completely unaware and didn't react at all. A triumphant smile appeared on the face of the sneak attacker. Suddenly, Yi Fang's body squeaked and turned into a piece of wood. Avatar technique. This, came a crisp exclamation. The next moment, Yi Fang's figure had already appeared behind this person. There are still people in Cheyenne village who dare to assassinate me. Yi Fang said lightly, his eyes looking at a tall and beautiful figure in front of him. This figure looked surprised, and quickly jumped away, separated from Yi Fang by a distance. Sure enough, it was the fourth generation of Hokage, who easily defeated the Ichigo Crane Guard, and actually evaded my sneak attack so easily. Yi Kaide looked at the sneak attacker and recognized it at a glance as a beautiful ninja. Sand-hidden village burning ninja, Yi Kang. You know me, she replied lightly. Dare to break into my sand-hidden village, and dare to threaten the great name of the Wind Country, even if you are the fourth generation of Hokage, you will die here. Quote. Is it up to you? Listening to her words, Yi Fang couldn't help but smile. Yi Kang, a scorching ninja, had a high status in the village and made countless battle achievements, but in the end he was betrayed by the village and abandoned to the enemy for assassination. In 4 ninja battles, the legendary female ninja was reborn from the soil. Now that he can see the real person, Yi Fang is also a little surprised. It can be said that live-action people are better looking than anime. Sassy. Only, where does this woman's confidence come from? After 10 seconds, Yi Kang's whole body was bound by tree roots and vines, making strange gestures. Yi Fang had to say that sometimes, this wooden ninjutsu is a little evil, all kinds of bindings. When people look at it, they feel a special sense of beauty. It's so evil. Let go of me. Yi Fang cried and laughed. It's you who want to kill me, and now you want me to let you go, is it possible? Quote. Then you kill me. Yi Fang glanced at Yi Kang and said, sure enough, the IQ is low, no wonder I was tricked into sending it to death. Quote. What low IQ? You scold me. Didn't scold you, you really have a low IQ. With that, Yi Fang left. Yi Kang was left alone. Hey, let me go. Don't you go. Hey, Night Maple, you wait. Quote. Yi Kang was so angry that his whole body trembled. He was in the deep mountains and wild forests, he was bound, and he couldn't move, it was too terrifying. However, Yi Fang ignored her and left directly. It took a long time for Yi Fang to disappear, a full hour, and the roots and vines on Yi Kang's body withered because there was no chakra. Yi Kang angrily ripped off all the roots and vines, then burned them into flying ash, and said viciously, Yi Fang, you wait, Yi Kang will definitely take revenge. Quote. However, at this time, Yi Fang had already returned to the side of Cheyenne village. Kimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuamin with the agreement of return signed by the Daimyo, Chio, the fourth generation of Hokage and others, there was no way at all, so they had to accept. Most importantly, 1,000 elite ninjas of Naruto also came. This is also what Yi Maple, Kimu Shuamao, and Bofeng Shuamin could not imagine. The 1,000 elite ninjas led by Inuga Butterfly could not have imagined that they had just arrived, and Yi Fang had already subdued the sand-hidden village. Pig Deer Butterfly's eyes are about to pop out. Naruto-sama, you took over the sand-hidden village alone. Well, in the end, it was Kimu Shuo Shigeru who went to negotiate. Chimu Shuo Shigeru, you will temporarily serve as the ambassador of the Konaha branch library in Sand-Hidden Village, and let people pass back Konaha if there is any news. In addition, we are ready to open up the trade route between Konaha and Sunahide village to promote exchanges between the two villages. Everyone nodded. At this moment, Hinata rushed over covered in blood. Naruto-sama, it's not good over there in Konaha. The ears of the Cheyenne village suddenly pricked up. Something happened over there in Konaha. Chio and Kaizo looked at each other. It seems that Union Village has moved. Konaha sent thousands of elite ninjas to Sand-Hidden Village this time, causing Konaha's forces to be empty, and just encountered the third attack of the ninja led by the 3 generations of Thunder Shadow Village. You see, this young ninja is covered in blood. Yi Kaide was stunned for a moment, and after listening to Hinata's words, he immediately understood what was going on. You rest and recuperate here in Sand-Hidden Village, and these 1,000 elite ninjas, you all stay in Sand-Hidden Village for the time being, and build the Konaha branch library. Then, Yi Fang looked at the 4th generation of Kazekage Rasa, Chio, and Kaizo and said, Kazekage, and the elder group, I hope you don't do stupid things. Our ninja of Konaha village, one person died here, I want 10 ninja of Sand Hidden Village to be buried with me. Quote. As soon as the words fell, Yefeng disappeared in place. Everyone was flabbergasted. So fast. Naruto-sama is too good. Of course, this is Naruto-sama. It's too fast. Even Bo Feng Shuaman was very surprised. If he guessed correctly, Yefeng was using the Flying Thunder God technique. But where did he leave the Flying Thunder God technique? As for the side of Sand Hidden Village, they were still full of joy, thinking that there was a difficulty on this side of Konaha village, and all these Konaha village ninjas were in a hurry to go back. Unexpectedly, Yefeng left them all behind. Also put down the cruel words. In this way, the ninjas of Sand Hidden Village have to weigh everything they want to do. Is it really worth offending Yefeng? Konaha village, suddenly there was a loud bang. The door slammed open. At the front stands a big man. It is exactly 3 generations of Thunder Shadows. This time, the 3 generations of Lei Ying'ai are in full spirit. And standing beside him is his son, the future 4 generations of Thunder Shadow. And around were the personnel of the Uchiha Guard who had fallen. This time, God really favored their Union village too much. The power in Konaha village was empty, and just as thousands of elite ninjas went out, his son Shadai, who was a hostage, also absconded. In this way, they will have no worries on the Union village side, and they will not be tied up because their son is a hostage. Then, let's kill it. Rumble. Suddenly, the King Kong Rui rod fell from the sky and smashed to the ground. Ape Flying Sun looked at the visitor with a horrified face. 3 generations of Lei Ying, what do you want to do? The 3rd generation of Lei Ying'ai sneered and said, the 4th generation of Hokage, what do you ask me to do? Revenge, of course. Quote. Up, kill the light and rob the whirlpool Ju Shinai. Quote. The 3rd generation of Lei Ying'ai is very clear that his side can only fight a blitzkrieg, and cannot wait until Yefeng returns. As long as you kill and grab the light and kidnap Ju Shinai, you can threaten Yefeng. Yefeng, no matter how powerful you are, what can you do? It will definitely threaten me. At this time, those family masters who were originally trapped by the 18 people of the Dark Department, those high-ranking members of Konaha, also came out one after another. Most of them are cursing. Look, Yefeng is just too young, and now we Konaha are miserable. That's it, I said it all, you can't fight, you just don't listen, you see it's better now, what should I do? Just say anything about unifying the ninja world, just kidding, it's a shame to submit to Union Village now. It's still not okay to be a Hokage at such a young age, I still don't believe the words of us elders, you see how it ends now. Yes, it's really ridiculous to think about helping Kimu Shuamao. I dare to say that Yefeng must not be able to do well on both sides, and come back in ashes. Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help but scold angrily. You so-called elders, when a strong enemy attacks, you know how to play tricks here, and if you have a kind, you will go up to meet the enemy. One by one, they are like traitors. Quote. Saying that, Uchiha Fugaku rushed forward. You Uchiha clan are traitors. However, Uchiha Fugaku ignored it and took the initiative to join the battle group. The 3 of Sarutobi Hinata, Tsunade, and Uzumaki Mito stood at the front, which is also the highest combat power of Konaha now. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.